be together, you, me, forever. Now there's nothing left to lose. And though I understand it's hard sometimes to make up your mind in these trying times, yeah, I just can't accept you leaving me when I'm overseas with the heart so heavy. Think that I deserve the truth for once, not a guilty tone, 'cause you're not alone, yeah. You said you wanna come home, but I know you don't. So this time I won't hear it on the phone. If you got something to say to me, then say it to my face. What it's all about, why you're bailing out. Think you owe me an apology. Just say it to my face. You're sorry. You're so sorry. You're so sorry. You're so sorry. Say it to my face. You're sorry.
The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show.
Today is Thursday, October 21st, 2021. Thanks so much for joining us. The contradictions around us are staggering. The hypocrisy abounds. Not only are we not protecting voting rights, but we're seeing a crackdown on Black Lives Matter. Let's unpack this today. Up first, On the Clock with Georgia Ford.
We take a look this morning at a case out of Brooklyn where we have two Black Lives Matter protesters who are accused of throwing a Molotov cocktail at an empty police cruiser and now are facing federal charges. The question here becomes, why not just prosecute them on a state level? If this vehicle was empty at the height of the George Floyd unrest, why is it that specifically Black Lives Matter protesters protesters are being targeted and labeled as terrorists. And Ben, when you juxtapose this against those who were protesting on January 6th and even escalated their protests to storming the Capitol, going into, legislatures' offices, all of the violence that happened, the officers who were injured. You ask yourself, out of those 500 people who are facing charges, how many of them are facing terrorist charges? Are they being labeled as this terrorist group, in which we're seeing happen with folks who identify with the Black Lives Matter movement?
Yes, that's right. Good morning, Georgia. There was something that occurred during the Trump administration that set off the red flags of everyone, and rightfully so. It was this distinction given by the the Department of Justice of Black identity extremists. We covered it when it came out, and everyone was up in arms, rightfully so, because of who they were targeting with that label. And this seems to be an extension of this, as reported by the Daily News. And it appears as though the Department of Justice underneath Joe Biden is doing the same thing, just with the different label and a more insidious label of terrorists, when they have not considered those barbarians who marched up the steps of the Capitol on January 6th. They haven't considered them as terrorists. As a matter of fact, some of them are getting off with slaps on the wrist.
And so then the question becomes, under the Biden administration, who has made promises of reforming the criminal justice system, who has made promises to ensure that racial equity is a priority. This case is a clear intersection. I mean, these two individuals, they're actually both lawyers, and they were out exercising their right to protest. Obviously, they took it too far. The two individuals, Colin Ford Mattis and Yarouj Rahman, and yes, they crossed the line in terms of taking their peaceful protest and the accusations of using this Molotov cocktail to destroy a police cruiser does, I think, merit criminal charges. But the question here is more or less about being labeled as terrorist just because you're identified as a Black Lives Matter protester.
That's right. That's right. And this flies in face of what's happening right now, the backdrop of Rahm Emanuel going through the confirmation process to become an ambassador. Rahm Emanuel, who was the mayor of Chicago, who had his hands on the Laquan McDonald tapes being suppressed so that he could get reelected. Right. This is the backdrop that we have. And so we're getting signals, very clear signals. They're not dog whistles. They're very clear indications from the Biden administration that they really don't care about what Black people are telling them. Because listen, you cannot put an ambassador in position who has the blood of people on his hands and then simultaneously label our protesters who rightfully, maybe they do deserve criminal charges, Georgia. But I'm telling you, when we saw what they did to George Floyd, they better be glad that's all that happened.
Yeah. Well, and if they get the maximum, these two individuals could be serving up to 45 years in prison. Potentially, they could be offered a plea deal and get less time. But to know that individuals were out advocating for George Floyd, advocating for justice. And I think, for me, what I realized in May of 2020 after George Floyd was murdered was that the global unrest that we saw happen, it was more about the global oppression, the hatred for Black people, and the collective exhaustion of seeing people killed by police.
That's right.
I think it was bigger than George Floyd. And the only reason why we've seen any ounce of progress is because people went out and used their voices, right?
That's right.
And also because people set stuff on fire and hit their pockets, right?
Yeah.
Because we've been seeing protesting for a long time, and it was ineffective. But once you start seeing that amount of mass property damage, you start to get a different response. Now, all of a sudden, people want to hear you and they want to listen. And so, while I don't advocate for the destruction of property by any means, there had been several cries in this country to do something that went ignored. And so, I mean, what do you expect people to do when they see folks who look like them being murdered on camera over and over and over and over again?
Right.
And when it's all said and done, there's no accountability, like in the case of Philando Castile.
That's right. That's right. And one of the things that I heard you say, Georgia, that stood out to me was the fact that these two attorneys for destroying property, allegedly destroying property, a Molotov cocktail to a police car. OK, they could face up to 45 years for that. That's more than what Derek Chauvin is serving for the life of George Floyd. And now we have a clear juxtaposition right here in front of us that this country and this administration, by proxy of the Department of Justice, this is Biden's administration, right? If this is being carried out through Biden's administration, then we have a clear indication that they have absolutely no respect for the black population that has put them into office. And we should govern ourselves accordingly.
No, I mean, I think that is a clear example of the inequities that we have in our criminal justice system, that two folks who are responding to the lack of police accountability could potentially serve more time than the person who incited the protests in the first place. I think also about the case of Kelvin Horton, who was a protester in Minneapolis, who was killed by a business owner, a white business owner who isn't serving any time, who isn't facing any charges at all, who was allowed to get off. And contradictory to the laws in Minnesota, he actually wasn't supposed to be defending his property in that way. I know there are some laws in some states that allow you to use fatal force if someone breaks into your home.
Yeah.
But in Minnesota, we don't have those laws. And specifically when it comes to a place of business, you are not supposed to respond in that manner at all, because you're supposed to have business insurance, in which in this case he did. But still, despite he clearly broke the law and took somebody's life, they've allowed him to get off. They're not charging him at all. And Kelvin Horton is a case I feel like did not make national news. And so when you look at that, a white business owner who was allowed to kill a protester without facing any charges, without facing any jail time. And here you have two lawyers responding to this police violence, facing 45 years. It just doesn't make sense. And it's not equitable.
It's not equitable, but it makes sense if you shift your perspective to understand that this system is operating exactly the way it's designed to operate. It's been designed to devastate black communities and to exploit us. I mean, they got us to get Joe Biden. You're in office because of us, right? There's no ambiguity about that. We flipped the entire state of Georgia, of all states. We flipped the state of Georgia blue. And we did it not only for the presidential election, we did it also for the Senate election. So we did our part. When is Joe Biden and his administration going to do theirs?
Absolutely. Well, Ben, I know you're tracking a story as well this morning.
Yeah, so we're also looking at Joe Manchin, and we're looking at the fact that, well, he has positioned himself to be the star of the show on Capitol Hill. And when you do that, you also have to take the responsibility for the fact that last night the Republicans stood unanimously against any progress on protection of voting rights. Now, I have a clip here of Vice President Kamala Harris discussing voting rights, and we'll get to Joe Manchin again momentarily. But Georgia, we're seeing it all across the country. The Republicans have attacked every aspect of our ability to vote, and the Democratic Party, particularly because they don't want to get rid of the filibuster, they're unable to get any protections for us. Let's listen to Vice President Kamala Harris.
President, what options do Democrats have left on voting rights? It's clear that Republicans are not going to support this.
Well, let's start with what just happened, which is the United States Senate and members of the United States Senate had an opportunity to uphold the importance of every American's right to exercise their fundamental right in a democracy, which is the right to vote. And when presented with this opportunity, the Democrats unanimously upheld the importance of that right, and the Republicans, sadly, unanimously failed to do so. So we're not going to give up. We're not deterred. But there's still a lot of work to do. And I think it's really a sad day. I thought that Senator Schumer, the majority leader, he spoke well in reminding us of America's history. And sadly, we have seen these moments before. I'd like to think that we have evolved as a nation and that we would not have to return to a moment where the United States Senate would have to debate, yet in this situation fail as a body to even move forward protections as it relates to the right to vote. So we're not going to give up. We have never given up, those of us who have fought for the right of every American to be able to express their voice for their vote. We're going to continue to do the work.
Now, Georgia, there are a lot of issues that are intersecting here. Obviously, we're talking about voting rights and the Republicans unanimously opposing it last night. But we can't leave this at the feet of the Republican Party, right? Because if we simply get rid of the filibuster, the Democratic Party has exactly what they need. They have a majority in the Senate, in the House, and they have the White House. They can get this voting rights bill passed if they get rid of the filibuster, but they're not willing to do that. And so we have this kabuki theater. We have this all of a sudden. The Republicans, who are the bad guys, well, now they're conveniently even more so the bad guys. But the real culprit here, the real villain underneath the Scooby-Doo mask, when we pull it and reveal it, the real culprit is the filibuster and villains like Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. I feel like the filibuster is that sorry excuse that the Democrats can continue to lean on. And so as long as it's there, they can use that as a diversion, as a way to avoid making real progress. And so it does feel a bit like smoke and mirrors when you hear Kamala here talking about how sad it is when she also knows that the filibuster needs to be eliminated. Yet what is she doing? What is Biden doing? What is anyone in the Democratic Party doing to eliminate it?
Exactly. Exactly, because this is a mountain that is not insurmountable, right? The Democrats know, and because we will watch the Republican Party do exactly what the Democrats are afraid to do. In 2017, the Republicans jammed through a tax bill. They did not care about not having the supermajority. They got it done. And so we have to ask ourselves the question, why will the Democratic Party continuously pretend as though they don't have the capacity to get this done when there's so many issues? It's not just voting rights. We're talking about the infrastructure package. We can't get any progress on that for the same exact reasons. And so we're running out the clock, if you ask me. I feel like everyone in Washington, D.C. is simply running the clock out in terms of the midterms. They're trying to wait us out and get to the midterm so we can all get excited about another election. Everyone will start tuning in. Everyone would take their sides, red versus blue. Meanwhile, they didn't do anything for us while they had the power to.
And then what, to add on to that, what happens to our ability to vote and how many people's voting rights are at stake here if there can't be some type of progress. So, I get frustrated when, we really start talking about people who are in positions of power and how they are not really looking at the needs of the people that they actually serve, the people who elected them in office. And it frustrates me that they spend so much time going back and forth on these political issues while ignoring the needs of the people. The people need their right to vote. At the end of the day, if there are laws that are passed that allow for voter suppression to happen, if there are laws that aren't passed to protect our right to vote, our political leaders have failed us. And it's just that simple.
That's right. Absolutely. And Georgia, we're going to be covering this extensively at the 8:30 segment. And we're going to be digging in more into Joe Manchin and his role in this and his culpability. There's just one more story that I want to bring to our attention. Many of us remember the tragedy at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas that occurred in Parkland, Florida some years ago, where 17 students and teachers were murdered by a gunman. That gunman, Cruz, was in court yesterday pleading guilty to all charges. Let's take a listen into his testimony.
I am very sorry for what I did, and I have to live with it every day. And that if I were to get a second chance, I will do everything in my power to try to help others. And I am doing this for you, and I do not care if you do not believe me. And I love you, and I know you don't believe me, but I have to live with this every day. And it brings me nightmares, and I can't live with myself sometimes, but I try to push through because I know that's what you guys would want me to do. I hate drugs, and I believe this country would do better if everyone would stop smoking marijuana and doing all these drugs and causing racism and violence out in the streets. I'm sorry, and I can't even watch TV anymore. And I'm trying my best to maintain my composure, and I just want you to know I'm really sorry. And I hope you give me a chance to try to help others. If I believe it's your decision to decide where I go and whether I live or die. Not the jury's. I believe it's your decision. I'm sorry.
Nicholas Cruz giving his plea, and of course the jury is going to decide his sentence. Georgia, we've been following this story. I remember covering it years ago. I'm actually from that area, and I didn't attend Parkland High School, but I went there many occasions for some of their math decathlons. And it is a tight-knit community. And so when this happened, obviously it sent reverberations throughout the entire country. But it really devastated that community, and they're still putting the pieces back together again. So it's going to be interesting to see how a jury of his peers decide his fate.
Did he say that he blamed marijuana?
Yeah, I heard that part. And, I'm not quite sure how that ties into this, and perhaps that, I don't know, maybe he was blaming his actions on marijuana, but yeah, that's what I heard. And it's a bit absurd along with everything else, but here we are.
Yeah, so I think it will be interesting to see what his sentencing is, especially just looking at the criminal justice system, as we spoke about earlier, whether or not they're going to be as tough and strict on him as we've seen them be on Black people who are accused of crimes.
Right.
So, yeah, a very tragic story there. My heart goes out to the Florida community devastated by his actions. Ben, I want to turn this morning to our friend, and I say that with air quotes, Tucker Carlson, who obviously has gone to a new low with his entertainment commentary on Fox News. Take a listen.
Yeah, so the one thing you can't do is expel the junkies, not the homeless. Homeless makes it sound like some sort of protected class of protesters. No, they're junkies. They're people shooting up, breaking into cars to support their habit, selling themselves, pimping out women. They're junkies, okay? And they're on your kid's school lawn. Well, we can't intervene in that because it's always been that way. Just lower expectations, Karen. In New York City, police have just been ordered not to intervene when they see junkies shooting up on the sidewalk or in a park. Can't get in the way, and you shouldn't, because we've always had junkies in our park. Sam Adams was actually smoking meth on the Boston Common once upon a time. In Washington, D.C., the Metro just basically shut down and pulled 60% of its train cars from service. So commuters, the ones who pay for it, are just have to find another way to get to work because the train service isn't working anymore. Just lower your expectations. In fact, they're lucky. In Philadelphia last week, several people on a train, they got on the train and then they got to watch as a man raped a woman on the train for minutes. Witnesses describe what they saw to Fox 29 in Philadelphia.
I think we also have to lower our standards of our news anchors who clearly don't tell us the facts. They just tell us our opinions these days.
Georgia, I try to follow. Listen, I try to do my due diligence of following someone's argument through the conclusion. And that was the most non sequitur laden piece of sophistry that I have ever experienced in real time. I mean, he was all over the place, all for the sake of trying to give something for his audience to be upset about. And the policy that he's talking about is a policy for the police not to intervene with the homeless in a particular fashion in New York, but in order to remove the humanity. He could not allow these people to be described as homeless, so he recategorized them as junkies. And then he executed his sophistry in a magnificent way, and that's why he makes $7 million a year doing the bidding of the oligarchs.
Yeah, I mean, he totally dehumanized folks who are facing homelessness. And Ben, over the last 2 years, I've spent a ton of time being out in homeless encampments, speaking to the residents that live there. And, they deserve dignity and
That's right.
respect just like anyone else. And yeah, some of them that I met, they do have an addiction and they're struggling with that. But to be honest with you, there were a number of individuals who I met who legitimately lost their job in the pandemic and don't have any other option, can't get hired. Maybe they have a criminal background, maybe they don't. But there was a number of individuals who I spoke to who also had mental health issues, who weren't junkies at all, who didn't have a criminal background, but had some type of mental health disorder that was preventing them from keeping a job. And so, it's ignorant and it's foolish, but it's important that we continue to listen to the other side, to people's perspectives, to understand where they're coming from. And I like to follow along as well, because sometimes you can see the other side, somebody else's perspective, right? You can understand where they're coming from. But in this case, if you know anyone who has an addiction, that by itself is an illness, and so why are we dehumanizing and criminalizing people who clearly need help and in some cases intervention?
Because without a villain, conservatives have nothing. Literally. They have no policy. They have no plan. They have no vision for the future. They have nothing but scare tactics and boogeymen. And if there's at any point in this country's history or future that we show empathy to a group, well, then that presents an opportunity for people like Tucker Carlson to make real money, because they turn those marginalized people. I don't get it. I honestly don't get it, Georgia. Of all the people, they pick on the least of these, the homeless, the most marginalized, and they try to make them to be out a villain. Oh, Tucker Carlson, we see just how real mediocre you are.
And I mean, and what do you want? Do you want them to be locked up? You want them to go to jail? And what does that solve? Criminalizing people who are homeless, who are suffering with drug addictions. At a young age, I traveled to Amsterdam. And it was fascinating to me that they have a government system that doesn't criminalize drug use, that doesn't criminalize even prostitution. And so when you live in a society that has a different legal structure and doesn't criminalize these things, then what do you say about the people who do have an addiction? What do you say about the people who choose to make money in a way that you don't agree with when it's legal? And so, I don't know exactly what the answer is, but I know that like locking people up and throwing away the key doesn't solve anything. It doesn't help this population of people who are struggling with their own issues. And a lot of people argue that there's so many vacant buildings that why can't there be a space designated for the people who don't have anywhere to go? Why can't there be more regulations? Why can't there be more resources? We've seen organizations go down to some of these encampments for people who do have drug addictions. And instead of criminalizing them and making fun of them, they offer them clean needles, not to be an enabler, but if they're going to do it, provide resources so they can do it safely.
Absolutely.
And so it's frustrating to see an attack on a marginalized, vulnerable population that is not in a position to defend themselves and who desperately needs help and resources.
Absolutely. And Tucker Carlson could not allow for the people to think that there is a reason that homelessness exists outside of the fear of them being junkies. In other words, he has to convince his audience. And the reason he's doing it, and the reason he makes so much money doing it, Georgia, $7 to $8 million a year doing this, he does it because he needs to make sure that his audience never has an ounce of empathy or takes a second to question the system that that codifies basically homelessness. I mean, homelessness is a policy decision in this country.
And last thing I'll say here, Ben, why don't people want to go to shelters? Why don't they don't want to go to shelters? Why, especially here in Minnesota, why would people want to sleep in a tent in below zero weather over going to a shelter?
That's right.
And so as a country, we should also be asking ourselves, we're paying millions of dollars to these nonprofit organizations. There's one specifically in downtown St. Paul, brand new facility, huge facility, is supposed to house the homeless, yet and still it's been in business for 20, 30, 40 years, still hasn't solved homelessness, but yet and still continues to get millions of dollars. But what we hear from people who choose to sleep in below zero weather in a tent and don't want to go to a shelter is that there is a certain culture and environment within these shelters that is unlivable for them, where they have faced assault, some even sexual assault, where their belongings have been stolen, where the rules are so strict that they feel like children. You have some couples who are homeless together who can't find a shelter that will allow them to stay together because most shelters are women or men only. You have some individuals who have pets who can't go into a shelter because their pets won't be accepted. So, there is a part of the shelter complex that basically requires folks to set aside their humanity and to compromise the things that are important to them in order to have shelter. And we should really be asking ourselves, why do we have to regulate so much if people need a safe, warm place to go? Do we really need all of those regulations in order to house people?
Well, it's a part of that means testing. It's a part of making sure that if you get anything from this government and you are not a corporation or a billionaire, mind you, then you have to go through all of the red tape. You have to qualify for this. In order to get food stamps, that you can't really, you have to disclose whether or not you have a car or valuables that you could sell. Like they really make you go through the grinder to get any assistance on the smallest level, yet we see the government giving away trillions of dollars to 5 companies during the war in Afghanistan.
That's right. And you better not have any money in your savings account. Because if you do, you should use that first before you come and apply for food stamps.
That's right.
Well, then we are on the clock. Stick around for more on the Benjamin Dixon Show.
Sunlight that always stays, dinner by the waterway. It's that sweet life. Raise your cross. Made some dude crack a smile. He asked if I could stay a while. I'm living that high life. Time to catch a flight, but you can make me go. Unlocking all the memories of my new home. Ventilated echoes playing to and fro. To and fro. Back and forth, yeah. Caught some kids dancing in the alleyway. Crazy how the melodies began to play, yeah. Tell me how you feeling when you hear the lyric, yeah. My heart's in Stockholm. Now I never wanna go home. my Vespa. She said I already told ya, I never dated a black guy. I said you're brown yourself. Let me offer help. Come on inside, where everybody knows your name. Everybody knows your name. Time to catch a flight, but you can make me go. Unlocking all the memories of my new home. Ventilated echoes playing to and fro, back and forth, yeah. Caught some kids dancing in the alleyway. Crazy how the melodies began to play, yeah. Tell me how you feel it when you hear the lyric, yeah. My heart's in Stockholm. Now I never wanna go home. I left my heart in Stockholm. Now I never wanna go home. Separate again. Sunlight that always stays in and by the waterway. It's that sweet life, sweet life, sweet life. I never wanna go home, go home. I'm living in Stockholm, Stockholm. I never wanna go home, go home. Living in Stockholm, Stockholm. I never wanna go home, go home. I'm living in Stockholm, Stockholm. Yeah. Shut up, I got the bed, the bed. Never get good, never get
The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show.
Welcome back. It's Thursday, October 21st, 2021. I want to begin with Rahm Emanuel, who is being considered for an ambassadorship. Rahm Emanuel, best known, former mayor of Chicago, and former chief of staff for a new president, Barack Obama. Around 2009, he became the chief of staff for Barack Obama. And if you read about any of the time that Rahm Emanuel had in the Obama administration, you would understand that Rahm Emanuel was critical in ensuring that Obama didn't do anything remotely good for the people, specifically the idea that Obama had about breaking up the banks that were culpable in the meltdown of the economy circa 2007, 2008. In the book, Confidence Men by Ron Siskind, he outlines that it was Rahm Emanuel who literally intervened as Barack Obama left the conference room. He intervened and said that we have to get him off of this idea, him being Barack Obama. This is who Rahm Emanuel is. He's a slimeball who should not be up for consideration for anything. Certainly not from Joe Biden, who owes his presidency to black folk, especially when Rahm Emanuel is also the reason he got the second term there as mayor in Chicago is because he had a part to play in the suppression of the video that showed Laquan McDonald being shot 17 times by Chicago police. He understood, Rahm Emanuel understood as mayor, that he was responsible for that because of his relationship and his responsibility and leadership of the police department. And during that election, he ensured that that video did not come out until after black folks already voted for him. So when I say that Rahm Emanuel is a slimeball who does not deserve to be anywhere near anything remotely associated with the United States of America, I mean that from the depths of my heart. Now let's listen to this slimeball as he tries to weasel his way into an ambassadorship. Run the clip.
You also have a letter from Pastor Marvin Hunter. He's a reverend on the west side of the city of Chicago. And the reason that's relevant is he speaks to my person and my character, not just my professional abilities. And he is Laquan McDonald's great uncle. We have prayed together over the last couple of years, gotten to know each other, gotten to talk about if we had a magic wand, how we would fix what's broken in our criminal justice system, talked about current events. We've even argued about the Cubs and the Sox. But most importantly, we've gotten to find a common understanding. And I'm appreciative of his support for my nomination, as I am of the other leaders in Chicago and the leaders here in the House that I served with.
Now listen, to Laquan McDonald's great uncle, that's his prerogative, his business, but he is not representative of the entire McDonald family, and the family has made it clear. But that has not stopped Rahm Emanuel from asserting as if he has now the solidarity of the very family for which he has caused significant trauma. The caucasity of it all. The unmitigated gall of this man to sit there and appear as if he's so sentimental, so hurt, so empathetic, so understanding. If he only had a magic wand, he would go back in time and what, Rahm? Release the video before the election, which would have sandbagged your election because you are the leader of the police department there in Chicago, or you were at the time? Is that the magic wand? What magic wand would you go back and do? Would you go and uproot the criminal behavior of the Chicago Police Department and the black sites where they go for rendition in Chicago? What would you undo, Rahm Emanuel? The shutdown of all of the schools in Chicago that were in black communities? I mean, carving out entire sections of Chicago's school system, leaving black communities completely and entirely vulnerable? Would you use your magic wand for that, Rahm Emanuel? Or would you use your magic wand and go a little bit further back and perhaps not intervene when President Barack Obama was trying his best to do the right thing as it pertains to breaking up the raggedy banks that destroyed our economy and eviscerated black wealth for generations to come? Would you use your magic wand for that? There's something wrong here, and I can't quite put my finger on it, Rahm. Perhaps you can help us. What I see very clearly is a man who has no compunction whatsoever about suppressing critical information as it pertains to the liberation and the justice being sought by black people, now standing in line for an ambassadorship. Forgive me if I'm a little bit passionate about this, but this is analogous to Mount Rushmore, putting the people who are the villains of our story up on a mountain for us to see. And we have to look at Rahm Emanuel as the ambassador on behalf of Joe Biden, who would not be in office if not for black people. The absurdity of it all. We can see you very clearly, Rahm. And Joe Biden, we're watching. Don't expect anything from black folks if you keep letting something other than justice trickle down on us. I think this is a good place as any. If we have DJ exclusive, I need to take a break because there's only so much that you can expect from black folks who have done everything that they possibly can do to ensure that we get justice through the system. Rahm Emanuel represents an grievous injustice. And the fact that he's even up for consideration is a slap in the face of everyone who is fighting for justice on behalf of black people. I got to take 5. When we come back, we're going to follow up more with some more stories. Joe Manchin, he's in the news. Kirsten Sinema, She's in the news. All these clowns are in the news who are blocking us from getting anything from this country. Meanwhile, Republicans are running up the scoreboard on behalf of billionaires and millionaires. We'll be back with more Benjamin Dixon Show coming up after this. I hope DJ Exclusive is somewhere to save me from myself. Go ahead, DJ Exclusive. Help your boy out. It didn't give enough time.
I'm still fly.
You ain't filibuster long enough. God damn it. Good morning, everybody. Good morning.
Supposed to make the man, but that poison's gonna kill you.
Y'all make sure y'all stay tuned. We got more coming next. So, Benjamin Dixon Show. Good morning, everybody. Good to see you. No, it's the real me. It's the real thing. I am here. Y'all make sure y'all stay tuned. We got more coming up. It's not the bubble.
And now it's my time to run it out. It's my time. It's my time to ride it. I'm young. I'm free. Ain't nobody take me here and now. It's my time to run it out. It's my time to ride it out. Cheers to all the haters, cause you proved to me that rising to the top was my destiny. And you can see whatever from behind me, but I'm still fly, I know. I'm still fly, let's go.
Shout out to mom and daddy who was on the road trying to careful out there, right?
Supposed to make the man, but that poison's gonna kill you from the inside out. It's time to say it with your chest now. Say it with your chest now. I'm young, I'm free. Can't nobody take me here and now. It's my time to run it out. It's my time to ride it. I'm young,
you know, I ain't did that damn thing, but
ain't nobody take me here and now. It's my time to
Patreon.com/like it or not. Patreon.com/show. Y'all help me get me out of this corporate hell that I'm living in.
It's your time. If you're on the bus, say yeah. If you're on the train, say yeah. If you gotta walk, say yeah. Everybody's going somewhere. Young or old, I really don't care. Life has never really been fair. So put your fist up in the air. Say yeah. I'm young, I'm free. Can't nobody take me here and now. It's my time to run it out. It's my time to ride it. I'm young.
All right, I won't turn it up too much, because if I turn it up too much, y'all can talk about the mic is loud. So I'm gonna give y'all a little bit.
It's my time to ride it out. It's your time.
Y'all make sure y'all stay tuned, man. We got more coming up on the BPD show, the Benjamin Dixon Show, that is. Like it or not, coming up next as well soon. Y'all make sure y'all stay tuned.
My money right now. Probably the juice they stole out my crown.
Hey, Dwayne, can you turn my mic up a little bit? Mine is turned all the way up on my side.
I know my value.
I'll say it again, I'm sorry.
Gotta recoup it.
Oh, okay, that's what I thought too.
My energy. I don't got much, don't be wasting all my energy. I keep it tight, don't let nobody get close to me. My heart is right, don't question my integrity.
Perfect, cool.
I thought we
all right, y'all, let's get back to it, y'all. This is time for Good morning, Brother Ben.
Brother James, DJ Exclusive, man. Listen,
You got to stop talking about that stuff without me being here, and then because you got to go off on this huge ass tirade that you go and go and go, and then you get to this wall here, man. Where then you like boom, you blow up, then like I gotta take a break. God damn it, I
gotta get out of here.
Talking about.
If I had a table in front of me, man, I'd flip it over, man, because it's stuff like there's some stuff we can tolerate, James. Like, we can discuss some things. Some things are debatable, right? Some things we can have an argument about, and we can have a forum over. Like, bring me a conservative who's operating in good faith, and I'll sit down and we can have an intellectual conversation with them. But Rahm Emanuel, there's nothing intellectual for us to have a conversation about that guy. Nothing. I mean, ask anybody for Chicago. I'm going to bring Jamal Green on and let him speak about what Rahm Emanuel did to Chicago, right? What he did to the school system. But you're right, because here I go. I'm getting ready to go right back into it. I mean, woosah. I went outside and did some stretching. Moving on.
Dwayne saw me. I'm sure he saw me put my head down. Everybody saw me just drop my head. Like
I saw you in my spirit. I didn't see the screen, but I knew.
Okay.
No, listen, man. I've been stretching lately. Like I haven't been able to do my. It's been real stressful. Like there's been a lot of stuff going on, but so I can't do a whole lot of. I'm out of. You heard me last night. I was outside walking, and the dude pulled up, said, "Hey, who are you?" And I was like, so I had, I can't go running as far yet. The people in the neighborhood that I'm in right now, they don't know me, but I've been doing some stretching, man. And my lower back feels like baby Jesus has come and touched it. And I feel like I could run and fly and flip and stuff. So y'all just keep me in your prayers, because man, my lower back is saying good morning for the first time in like 10 years. And man, I feel amazing. So
I need to start stretching in the morning, because my lower back feel like the devil himself has come and stepped on this damn thing and said, Satan is back. I'm like, no, rebuke thee, Satan, in the name of Jesus.
James, I'm doing marching band moves, bro. I'm doing deep lunges like I'm in marching.
Oh, bruh.
Give me about another 2 weeks, and I'm gonna be doing splits again, bro. I'm gonna be doing some drum major, like Southern drum majors, going back and putting my head on the back of the ground. I'm getting there. That said, let's get back to some politics that don't send me off in the deep end. Joe Manchin and these voting rights. Now, this does send me a little bit, but not as much as Rahm Emanuel. I want to replay this clip from Kamala Harris, because she's setting up. There is some. Republicans are culpable. Republicans are the villains. There's no question about this. Across every state that Republicans have the power, they are implementing voting suppression laws. So I don't want anyone who hears us as we criticize Joe Biden and the Biden administration and the Democrats in general. I don't want anyone to mistake that as thinking we're giving the Republicans cover, because absolutely the hell not. They need to be voted out of power at every level across this country. I don't care if there's a Republican dog catcher. Vote them out. That said, Democrats, you got power. Use it. Here's Kamala Harris talking about, we can't get anything done because of the Republicans. Let's run the clip.
President, what options do Democrats have left on voting rights? It's clear that Republicans are not going to support this.
Well, let's start with what just happened, which is the United States Senate and members of the United States Senate had an opportunity to uphold the importance of every American's right to exercise their fundamental right in a democracy, which is the right to vote. And when presented with this opportunity, the Democrats unanimously upheld the importance of that right, and the Republicans, sadly, unanimously failed to do so. So we're not going to give up. We're not deterred. But there's still a lot of work to do, and I think it's really a sad day. I thought that Senator Schumer, the majority leader, he spoke well in reminding us of America's history. And sadly, we have seen these moments before. I'd like to think that we have evolved as a nation, and that we would not have to return to a moment where the United States Senate would have to debate, yet in this situation fail as a body to even move forward protections as it relates to the right to vote. So we're not going to give up. We have never given up, those of us who have fought for the right of every American to be able to express their voice through their vote. We're going to continue to do the work.
So, James, there you go, Vice President Kamala Harris. The question that the reporter asked, though, she did not answer, which is, what other options do you have, considering you're not going to get any help from Republicans? The answer is, get rid of the filibuster. But she didn't say that. What do you think about your vice? I mean, and I don't even want to make it about Kamala, because she's, You know, she's just one out of all the Democrats who are ignoring the fact that we just got to get rid of the filibuster.
Yeah. You know, I don't know too much about this filibustering stuff besides what we talked about already. So I just hope that they just use their power and their pressure to do what they need to do and get it done.
Yeah.
But we all know that's not going to happen. Somebody said in the chat, all politicians are crooked anyway. Can't trust none of them. So literally, I don't trust any of them, because it's always going to play into something versus either the Democrats on one side doing something, the Republicans doing something. They working together behind the scenes doing all this extra stuff. They know what they're doing.
You know more than what you let on, James, because they absolutely know what they're doing. You can't tell me. See, I sit around and I think all day long. I think for a living, right? When I'm not doing this show, I'm thinking, and I'm thinking of a master plan. There you go.
Always.
You can't. I know without a shadow of a doubt that they have people who are paid millions of dollars to sit around and think for them. They know exactly what's going on. Republicans know what's going on. They're not fooled. They're not confused. They're not. And the reason I set it up like this is because we spend so much time, James, thinking that if we could just show the Republicans what they're doing wrong, if we could just show them their hypocrisy, if we could show the Democrats, if they just get rid, maybe we can make a really good case and convince the Democrats that they should get rid of the filibuster. All the while, what you said is spot on. They know exactly what the hell is going on around us. So does Joe Manchin. I got a really short clip of Joe Manchin as he discusses the possibility that he's going to leave the Democratic Party and go become a Republican. Now, James, we talked about this a long time ago. With Rebecca, we always knew that Joe Manchin was going to eventually become a Republican. In this case, he's saying he'll become an independent. I'm sorry, that translates to me that he's going to become a Republican. He's going to caucus with the Republican Party. Yeah.
Yes.
And so, according to some on the Hill, he was discussing a two-step process. This is the allegation against Joe Manchin, that he was discussing a two-step process that he would use to exit the Democratic Party. First, he would let Chuck Schumer know that he's going to step down from his leadership positions, and then he would subsequently leave the Democratic Party. When confronted with this, he said, of course not. As a matter of fact, he said it's BS. Let's take a listen. It's a very short clip, but here is Joe Manchin responding to the allegations that he was going to walk away from the Democratic Party.
I can't control rumors, and it's bullshit. Bullshit spelled with a B-U-L-L capital B.
I asked you, but...
Very short clip. Damn.
Hit dogs holler, man. He was like, yeah, it's BS. You don't try. Man, Joe Manchin, you are a Republican. That's what you are. Just go and be great when you're red. Go and be great in your Republican red. Go and do it, because you're wasting our time. And I think Democrats are wasting their time with this illusion that they actually have power when they don't, because they're not willing to get rid of the filibuster. And Joe Manchin knows that. And so this is his moment to get all the money he can from rich donors. And that's what he's doing. Him and Kirsten Sinema, they're just standing in the way of progress, because progress will cost corporations some tax dollars. And so
say that, brother.
Yeah.
Say that, brother. That's big facts, man.
Yeah, man. I'm tired of all these things, man. I'm tired of all this. Let's hey man, let's go do a rap. Let's go do a rap album, you and me.
Like you told me all them years ago in '98 when you said, let's go to the studio and record a song. Tell you the same thing. I ain't no rapper. I'm a singer.
Ain't nobody want to hear you, Otis.
Nobody could hear you, Otis.
Oh man. In other words, I want to move on from the politics straight out. Let's move on to the NBA. Another NBA player. Man, listen, everybody who's got skill on the basketball court don't mean they got some good sense. Jonathan Isaac decided to come out, basketball player decided to come out and speak critically of the media. And in this case, he got very, very specific. He is saying that the media is, there's a blatant miscarriage of vaccine misinformation. Watch his argument. He says, why does CNN lie about Joe Rogan as it pertains to ivermectin being horse dewormer? Now, if you are tuning in and you just woke up out of a coma and you're just finding out and listening in, and you're like, what the hell are we talking about? Well, we'll break it down a little bit more after you hear this clip from this NBA star. Let's take a listen in.
It's not that people should not get the vaccine. That's not the argument. It's that for me, there aren't scientific, legal, or to me, moral grounds for the vaccine mandate itself. I think when you take into account the nature of COVID, the nature of the vaccine that doesn't stop infection or transmission, the nature of natural immunity that hasn't been talked about, and then obviously the polarization by the media that has created such distrust. If this thing is just about protecting people and protecting the public health, why does CNN have to lie about Joe Rogan taking horse dewormer, or why does the Rolling Stone have to willfully misrepresent my position on the vaccine of COVID? Why do these things have to happen if it's just about protecting people? So I think there are a lot of grounds to say this thing should be up for people's personal choice on whether or not to get it.
Why are you only making this calculation for yourself? Isn't that selfish? Do you owe something to your team? Do you owe something to society to get vaccinated?
I don't think it's for myself, or, a lot of people said during the press conference I spoke in the first person, but I really am. And I think other guys like Kyrie, or just anybody who's saying that it should be people's personal choice, are thinking about other people and their freedom to make the decisions that they do. I think, like I said, when you take into account the COVID virus that we have, that the average death age is greater than, the life expectancy in the country. And then you take into effect the vaccine that does not stop infection or transmission. Your decision to protect yourself from the virus is your own, and taking the vaccine would do that. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with the vaccine. I think people who have, pre-existing conditions, or just feel they want to take that step to protect themselves from the virus, not necessarily an unvaccinated person, but vaccinated people are carrying it and transmitting it as well. So it should be based on those premises. And then again, talking about the conversation of natural immunity.
You know what? You know me. You know my thought process and how I feel. Yes, it should be your decision. It's ultimately your choice. But at the end of the day, what my homie said, then die.
You don't want to take the vaccine?
Then die. And some people may be good. And we're not wishing death on anybody. That's one thing I want anybody to know, that we're not wishing death on anybody. But at the end of the day, do your own research. Don't believe what other people say. Do your own research in medical research, FDA research, CDC research, not research of these TikTok people and YouTubers don't know what the hell they talking about, because that's all this is. He's probably heard some misinformation, one piece of it from somebody else that heard it from somebody else that's heard it from somebody else, and is now going to run all of that up and go YouTube it and find that one YouTuber or a TikToker or a Twitch person that's spreading that misinformation about the damn vaccine. And then that's all it takes. And now here it is. You are stuck and you are believing all of this BS that is coming out of your mouth. And that drives me crazy. Really irks my soul.
Man, listen. You know what else irks my soul, brother? Everything that you said, and then this one extra detail. He's on Fox News doing this interview.
Yes, man.
Fox News literally told all the basketball players to shut up and dribble when it came to Black Lives Matter. And then they just gave this black man an open forum to say everything he wanted to say as it pertains to the vaccine. Why? That's because he is being a useful idiot for white supremacy, because this pandemic is killing black folks. And if you really want to talk to me about a vaccine mandate, then I think black folks, we should be the first people begging for the vaccine, because look at how they're keeping it from Africa. We played the clip several times, and going forward, guys, I want to always keep those clips from the African Union talking about how much they want to purchase the vaccine. They're not even asking for it for free, James. You have African nations who are begging to spend money and purchase the vaccine because of how many people are dying of the pandemic in Africa and the lack of access to the vaccine in Africa. Now, all of that said, that's the reality. And you want to know why Fox News would give this man a platform to just run that's a gold mine in terms of talking. It's rare that you get international television access to talk for like 2 minutes uninterrupted. And the white anchor's just sitting there like, yeah, thank you, black man. Thank you. Oh, yeah, this is good stuff. This is good stuff. Oh, and he threw in Joe Rogan. Oh, yeah, and he threw in ivermectin and the horse dewormer. That black man just went on there and did every single thing every white supremacist ever needed him to do to help ensure that as many black people as possible die from this pandemic.
You're right, Ben. And I just hate that he's on damn Fox News. Like, of course they're gonna give you a platform. Oh, they saw your page and you talking about what? Oh yeah, let's call this man up and let's get him on the show. There'll be another dancing fool on the show for us to reel all these people in. Even though we all vaccinated, let's just call him because he's not gonna come in the studio. We're gonna call him on Zoom or Skype and do whatever it is that we need to do. Let's make him look stupid, but we're gonna make ourselves look good at the same time. I hate that.
Absolutely.
I hate that.
And he's such a good speaker. So, and this is another thing. Like, I want to say this very clearly. Everyone who speaks clearly, everyone who speaks with confidence, doesn't have something valuable to say. Charles Barkley is actually one of those people who I don't think oftentimes has anything good to say. But in this case, he actually did when it came to the vaccine and Kyrie Irving, who seems to be at the center of the NBA aspect of the COVID-19 vaccine conversation. Let's take a listen to this clip of Sir Charles Barkley as he takes Kyrie Irving to task over the vaccine.
Your buddy over here is grimacing. Chuck?
First of all, you don't get the vaccine for yourself. You get it for other people.
No, I'm not saying.
Hold on, first. You said your piece.
No, I didn't say you do.
I got vaccinated. I can't wait to get the booster. You don't get vaccinated just for yourself. Like Adam said, you get vaccinated for your family first. You get vaccinated for your teammates second, things like that. That's what bothers me about this whole thing. I think everybody should get vaccinated. And let me tell you something. I really am proud of the Nets for putting their foot down, for saying, no, we're not going to deal with this half on, half off. The only thing that bugged me, he's still going to make $17 million sitting at home. I wish they could find a way, if he wants to go on this thing, like, people say he's like Ali. First of all, don't ever compare anybody to Ali. Ali went 3 years without boxing. He was the highest paid athlete in the world. This guy going to make $17 million for sitting at home. But to every person out there, you don't get vaccinated just for yourself. Let's get that out the way.
Man. He was right on there.
Some big facts right there, for real.
He spit some big facts there, man. So shout out to Charles Barkley, broken clock and all, right, twice a day. Charles Barkley is absolutely right. Kyrie Irving and all these basketball stars, gentlemen, please, until you've done some actual research that isn't YouTube. And until we get out of this pandemic, if you ain't got nothing productive and constructive to help black folks in this pandemic, you see I'm giving all these qualifiers, James.
Thank you.
Then shut up and dribble. Because you ain't helping black folks. You're hurting us, Kyrie and Jonathan and all the rest of you. That said, let's go to break. When we come back, Rebecca Azor is in on her day off, and I know we're going to have to hear about it. So, James, why don't you warm the people up and get our spirits up? Like it or not, it's coming up.
Wait, you ain't say nothing about me having my day out. Oh, wait, because I ain't popping in at all, did I?
You took it.
I took that motherfucker. Y'all make sure y'all stay tuned. Like it or not, it's coming up next, y'all. We're going to get some good jams going and get your morning started again. While we wait for Rebecca to join us, y'all. Y'all stay tuned.
You can't break my focus. All I got right now is attention. Give me the divine intervention. Hey, you done got me started. Every day is just the beginning. Take it to the bank, now I'm winning. Call me crazy, tell me lies. It won't stop me, watch me.
Good morning, everybody in the chat room, wherever you are streaming from. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. I think Twitch may be down. But yeah, all those good places. Good morning, y'all.
Every time I do, I catch it. I know how to make it happen.
Roller Dragon, I heard it was a digital version of me. I'm gonna say digital. Good morning, Mama and Daddy. Mama has entered the chat. Mother has entered the chat. Good morning, Mama and Daddy. Y'all be careful on that road, man.
All I'm gonna feel is the heat burning underneath of my feet. Ooh, so call me crazy, tell me lies. It won't stop me, watch me rise. No more
Laverne Rebels, thank you for that. David, I'm not sure if you saw Laverne's comments. She said, good morning. Are you all aware that some of us are not getting notified when y'all come on? Oh no, you don't like Diane. YouTube, of course it's a YouTube thing. Of course it is. Are you serious, dude? Wow. I didn't know that. That kind of makes a lot of sense, though. They're always trying to limit some stuff. Don't say nothing. I promise I'm not. Nicole, good morning. Love, good morning. Laverne, good morning. Church lady, Shay. Good morning, everybody. Roller Dragon, what's going on? Tiger, good morning. Good morning. Pioneer, what's going on? Susan, Dragon Ball. Good morning, good morning to you. Juanita, good morning. Blue Patty, good morning, y'all. Six Dragon Daddy, I know you're here somewhere as well, too. Marine Ransom, good morning. My brother Tyler Hackner, good morning. Chuck Diesel, what up, brother Chuck? Infinite Content. Dang, Lance, what's going on? Iris Jones, what's going on? Brother Latif, brother Latif. Y'all stay tuned. Shelby Hall, good morning. Y'all stay tuned. We got more coming up, all right? You don't want to miss it. Y'all stay tuned. You're not doing anything else right now, so stay tuned, y'all. We got some good music, good show. Everything's coming up next, y'all. Stay tuned. Y'all like it or not, it's starting very, very soon. Marsha Reese, photo, good morning, y'all. Courtney the SLP, shout out to our sister Savage Sweetheart. I know she's somewhere working. Nat, hey, what's going on, sister? Jonathan Guerrero, good morning, brother. Esther Brochin, good morning. Justice Draconis, go cool. Good morning, brother. Go cool. Kamehameha, bro.
Your hometown, we don't need to go to. Trying to get it worldwide, global. Looking like a show, you been killing this is go-to. Spilla, the whole man killer. Life so free, can't no man kill him. Came from the bottom, was
Alicia, good morning, y'all. Good morning.
And me, I get
Courtney the SLP. Paul Perez, afraid not. Good morning, y'all.
For the exit, new sheriff in town, I get a little reckless. Mr. Memo, go check the message. I ain't then came back for seconds.
Jack, what's going on, Jack? Good morning to you.
Lifestyle decrepit, I should probably expect this. Too much game for your league. I'm Hussein with Steve, don't Hussein on beats. Legendary and everything you ain't.
Lily, good morning, Lily. Sophia Williams, I know you out there somewhere, so Miss Sophia. Good morning, Miss Sophia.
Just wanna be a mini me. All these just wanna be a mini me. All these just wanna be a mini me. Enemy. All these just wanna be a mini me. All these just wanna be a mini me. All these just wanna be a mini me.
Jill Potts, good morning. That AB safe on that road, okay? The Pioneer, what's going on? Peyton Henson, good morning. Zivis, what's going on, Zivis? Good morning to you. Daddy, you out there giving out homework? 2 pages, double space, man.
Keep going on strong like a soldier. I was drunk with love, now I'm sober. So I can't help saying that I told you, I'm sober,
Summer Man, good morning. Steve, good morning, man. John McDropout. Quick dropout. Freaking love that. Shout out to you, John. Welcome over to the YouTube channel. I know that you're usually on Twitch. I don't know what's going on with Twitch. Twitch is just stupid today. So Tiger, we don't trust your dad jokes anymore, so you have been banned from dad joking in the chat. But no, for real, spring is here. I got so excited that I wet my plants. All right, y'all. Y'all know what time it is. It's time to go down. Here we go. Like it or not, it's starting now. Yeah. Y'all know what time it is. Good morning, y'all. Get your coffee and tea, and drink whatever it is you need. It's time for Like It or Not, y'all. 9 a.m. to 10:30, yeah. Like It or Not is on your channel, yeah. Politics and culture is we change skin like we're supposed to, yeah. Interviews and all the news, we get to choose what gets the views. Like It or Not with Queen Azor, it's starting now, so stick around. Like it or not, it's going down. Mara said they didn't play my song yesterday. Mara, what blasphemy? All night, y'all stick around. Oh, Rebecca Azor is coming through. You know she got a good story for you. Oh, wait till y'all hit the remix. Y'all think Diddy used to do his thing back in the day? Y'all play it. This is his show. He's a politics bro. I'm your DJ exclusive. This one I feel like Prince. Y'all know who I am. I stay dropping them jams. Like it or not, it's going down. Like it or not, y'all stick around. Oh, like it or not, it's starting now. Like it or not, it's about to go down.
Like It or Not with Benjamin Dixon starts now.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
I was not ready. Good morning. Good morning and welcome to Like It or Not, where we're free to tell the truth
and not care who doesn't like it.
It's Thursday, October 21st, 2021. Thank you so much for joining us. DJ Exclusive is in the building, and we are waiting for Rebecca Azor to pull up. She pulls up as as a person who's driving a Bugatti coming through in the middle of the show. Lights, camera, and action. Here we go.
Right. Just jump in the chair and ready to get. Okay, I'm ready.
So whenever Rebecca gets here. This is
she's a diva. You know, they're like late every now and again. Like she was late yesterday morning. I mean, I wasn't watching anything, but I was watching, and she popped in late, just like boom, there go Rebecca. Like, oh, hey Rebecca.
Well, yeah. So I know she's headed in today on her day off. Right, because we're going to be speaking momentarily with Dr. John Eaves. He's a candidate for Georgia Secretary of State, and he's coming in specifically to talk about some immigration issues. So at 9:30, we'll begin that conversation. But it's going to be, I'm looking forward to that one. That said, James, I want to play this clip that I mentioned during the BPD segment from the African Union as they were discussing at the World Health Organization how desperately the nations of Africa want to get the vaccine. I need black folks to listen, because at the top of all the conspiracies, there's the idea that this vaccine is specifically targeted to harm black people. That's a lie. Right. And I know it's a lie because the people of Africa, the leaders of Africa, are begging to purchase the vaccine. Let's run that clip.
Thank you. So, Director General, if I may, with respect to this question, just quickly clarify one issue. As AVAT and the African Union, we want to buy vaccines. We're not asking for donations. You can donate to us if you so wish, but our basis is not a donation. That means we want access to purchase. We call on those countries that have put restrictions on exports of vaccines as finished products, exports of ingredients, drug substance. These restrictions are even more urgent for us today than intellectual property, because the intellectual property doesn't deliver a vaccine to us tomorrow. But an export ban lifted in the United States, in Japan, in China, in Korea, South Korea, India, that will give us vaccines immediately. So we urge you to put that into the mix. We always appreciate a donation, but a donation is at the discretion of the donor. We want to buy at the same time.
James, man, like, one, I need to find out who that distinguished brother is, because just I love brilliant black folks who can just handle the situation. So I want to find out who that brother is, number one. Number two, man, I want us to keep that clip in our queue all the time, because, man, when all the nations of Africa are saying, hey, run us the vaccine, I think black folks in America need to take a step back and say, hold on, perhaps something bigger is going on here, especially when the entire continent of our motherland is saying, send us, run us the vaccine.
Mm-hmm. And you know, everybody thinks that we want donations, or they like, we're giving such and such X amount of vaccines. We're giving this country X amount of vaccines. Hey, nobody's asking for your damn donations. They want to buy this stuff, and y'all need to damn do it.
That's right. Absolutely.
Like, man,
nobody's begging for anything except for the opportunity to purchase it. And I like what you're saying there about the intellectual property rights. You know, there's an ongoing debate about the validity of intellectual property rights and whether or not corporations have the right to seize critical medicines like a vaccine and say, no, unless you run us the kind of money we want underneath the terms that we want, then you're not going to be able to get it because of intellectual property rights. And then lastly, he was saying that there's an export ban. There's a literal ban keeping them from getting access to this vaccine, man. Like, I'm listening to all these basketball players out here, and I'm like, if you're doing your research, how did you miss this? How did you miss this? Because this should tell you, in the midst of your researching, that the black folks all across the globe are trying to get this vaccine. And it's American black folks who are listening to, you know, people like Robert Kennedy Jr., who's behind most of these conspiracies. We're listening to him, and black folks are dying, man. Black folks are dying from this pandemic. I think everybody knows somebody who's died of this pandemic.
Oh, yeah.
Whew. Anyway,
multiple, unfortunately.
I want to move on one more clip before we get to our first guest and before Rebecca gets here, because there's just so much going on around the country, James, that one of the things that happened as we cover the COVID conspiracies, as we debunk them, and I'm talking about us as a team, the Benjamin Dixon Show, Like It or Not, On the Clock, Georgia Ford, as we're covering them, we're getting flagged by YouTube, and our various channels are getting taken down. I think we have a flag over there on the Like It or Not channel And as we debunk these conspiracies, we get penalized on YouTube for debunking the conspiracies, yet these conspiracies exist on YouTube and thrive. Like, ain't that something?
Bruh, it boggles my mind how we can be talking about the disinformation and we share the video or the clip of what was played on YouTube, but what we played from that video that still exists on YouTube, we get flagged for it and get suspended for a week.
For a week. This is twice.
For a week.
The second time the first time it happened, it was on my channel, the Benjamin Dixon Show channel that a lot of people are watching right now on YouTube. We got taken down because we were covering Donald Trump and his conspiracy theories, and they gave us no recourse. But it's just something, man. Like, the conspiracies abound on YouTube, but as we try to debunk them, we're getting flagged. One more set of videos before our first guest, and we're going to take another quick break. I want to talk about a couple of evangelicals because they're the ones doing the most spread of the conspiracy theory. And I know they're taking our channels down, but I think we got to keep hitting it head on because, like Rebecca said yesterday, it's when people mix in a little bit of Jesus with a little bit of conspiracy theory, with a little bit of end time prophecy, Revelation, generation, all that Armageddon stuff. That's when these conspiracy theories get into our community. And they get so locked into the minds of our loved ones that they refuse to get the vaccine. I mean, and it's happening. And then some people are dying. I want us to take a listen at Rick Wiles. He's an end times prophecy conspiracy theorist, claiming that COVID-19 vaccines contain an egg that hatches into a synthetic parasite and grows inside of your body. Now, this is a clip that exists on YouTube and the social media. As we get ready to debunk it, there's a possibility that our YouTube channel will be taken down because that's how Google gets down. Let's run the clip.
This is a global coup d'etat by the most evil cabal of people on the planet in the history of mankind. And if it is not stopped in the very near future, they will win. That's what's at stake, control of the world. They're putting eggs in people's bodies. If you didn't see yesterday's True News, you need to watch it. It's an egg that hatches into a synthetic parasite and grows inside your body. This is like a sci-fi nightmare, and it's happening in front of us.
So you telling me that we got symbiotes in us, Brother Ben? You telling me that I'm about to be out like here like Venom, bro?
Venom, bro. Venom.
Yeah, let's get it.
I need the booster shot right now. Run me the booster shot. I need my superpowers.
Run me the booster, because I think if I get another shot, then that means I might become Spider-Man. Oh, yeah, I'm with it.
Bro, listen, the best stretches I get in the morning is when I'm down like Spider-Man. So I need a little booster shot so that I can start shooting out some symbiotic webs. You know what I mean? This is how crazy these people sound. And
this is freaking ridiculous.
Bro, and James, like, man, these people are rich doing this stuff, right? These people have got like major networks doing this. They have $200,000 studios doing this. They have yachts doing this. They have Bugattis doing this, man. And here we are trying to spit the truth, and we get taken down on YouTube.
Right.
I can't.
Now we're going to get flagged talking about, they said that if you take the vaccine, you're going to get superpowers. Now we about to get flagged. Oh, here we go.
Get flagged. If you take the vaccine, you might. Listen, I want to take the vaccine booster shot so that I can get that symbiote in my body. That's what I'm saying, Rick Wiles. These people, man, are false prophets if I've ever seen one in my life. Listen, we're going to go. Our guest is here. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to be speaking with a candidate for Georgia Secretary of State. You got to remember, this was a position that was held by Brian Kemp as he ran for governor. And this is how Brian Kemp stole the election from Stacey Abrams in the state of Georgia. We're going to be speaking with a candidate who's running for that position when we come back with more Like It or Not. DJ exclusive. Drop them jams, man.
Katriska, really? You call me Tilk? Come on, I love it. From Stargate with the parasites. Yes, I caught that one.
I heard they checking for me, no one checking on me, so I had to go run up a check. I got the message on me, ain't no flexing on me, my attorney gon' call and collect. Blessings on blessings for me, my successes only made them envious, they got upset. I had to put all their egos in check. I want the money, the power, respect, and I heard you know so-and-so, you not a threat, cause I really know so-and-so, they like my family, so they go pretend that they cool till they busted your motherfucking chest. I'm getting good, my flow been like butter, my check in the bank. They see the number, all of my haters feel one of two ways. Really upset or they show some respect. I can't even think about it. I've been up, so read about it. No beat around it, straight to it, no ring around it. You coming for me, we'll see about it. We'll never see it when I get my feet up. 100 meters where I run the fee up and go ka-ching and onomatopoeia. I had to re-up on a reel, so you stay the feeder and put it back into the bit, cause I don't really need
Laura Estrada, good morning. Kev Z, what's going on, brother Kev?
No one checking on me, so I had to go run up a check. I got the message on me, ain't no flexing on me. My
shout out Sensation in the chat. What's going on, Sensation?
My success is only made them envious, they got upset. I had to put all their egos in check. I had to put all their egos in check. You're not entitled to anything else. I get 10 years of this.
Mary Smith, Mary Smith, I forgot to tell you, that's my auntie
nobody hears it, and this shit is staying on the shelf. Your ego done got in the way. It gotta die today. It gotta go. You should be happy I lighten the load. The weight of your arrogance, heavy as stone. I make an appearance, they already know. That chip on your shoulder gon' crumble and fold. Yeah, it's not a secret that you have been fearing the shit that I'm on. So you back to the brag and the boast. But I'm in a class of my own.
Anna Hart, good morning.
I heard they check.
Stop that. Hit y'all with some more drum and bass this morning. Y'all make sure y'all stay tuned. We got more coming up next. So like it or not, Rebecca will smoke. Stop that. Stay tuned.
Out here I'm chatting the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking.
Amber Layla, good morning. Rosie B, what's going on? Good morning.
Just too sharp with the prize. White girls better tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch me, please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast.
Promises manifested. What's going on? Good morning to you.
In the cage, I'ma let out the. Wake up, get out the sheets. We came for one man, forget my peace. You take
Blue Daddy said I'd rather be Mr. Fantastic. I think I would rather be what's the guy's name from The Boys? Oh man, Homelander. Yeah, it's a mixture of everything. You get flight, super speed, strength, all of that. Throw a little telepathy in there too. I'm
please
good
get on your knees. Came from the jungle, up in the trees. I got a few tricks up in the sleeve. One wrong move, I'ma let out the.
Y'all drop y'all superhero preferences down in the chat. Drop y'all superhero preferences. Let's see what y'all would rather be. Superheroes.
Yeah, I hear him chatting the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Not so tough, but mans keep walking. Yeah, just too sharp with the prize.
Shout out Kareem Ransom and the little one says my 2-year-old is jamming in the car right now. You better get it. All right, the church lady says it should be the Flash. Ooh, infinite content. The Power Cosmic. Yes. You right. Power Cosmic is it.
Stop that.
He says she's gonna telekinesis like Jean Grey. Yes, Jean was probably the most powerful mutant in the end. Oh no. What's the Scarlet Witch is? Yeah, she's good. Ben said he would be Apocalypse, which is dope. One source says Wolverine, Industrial Arts, the blue guy from Watchmen, which is Mr. Fantastic, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember his name, but I know you're talking about. Batman since childhood from Max Drac Bean. Six Dragon Daddy says, I've got the powers of Tanuki. I hate you, Six Dragon Daddy. Magneto says, Six Dragon Daddy is me. Dr. Manhattan, that's who it was. We know who Goku would be. Goku, I'm sure, would be Goku, which is dope. The blue hair, because that's my dog. Yes, Roll the Dragon, Doctor Strange. Laura Estrada, Wonder Woman all day. Chuck Diesel say he will be Diesel Diggler, the super ninja. Shout out Chuck Diesel, man. Yes. I think, yeah. I like this. Carly Wynn says, Magic. That is dope. Okay, good one. Jason J says, Booty Tay.
Thought I could never touch the sky.
Nat A says, Chitara from Thundercats. I like that. Roller Dragon says, or Venom. Yeah, anybody, if I had to be someone that I have to pick. Zivis Valley says, Darth Bane. That's dope. Now, if I had to pick a superhero to be one that's already exists, of course, Captain America is always my one. I don't know. Probably Vision. I always thought Vision was dope, with everything, with the milestones. So we do Vision. Yes, Silver Bliss, Miles Morales. That is dope ass crap. And I already know who my Q would be. Q would be Miles Morales as well too. Brother Dragon says Green Lantern. All right, y'all. I think we are ready to come back. I think I've been feeling. No, we're not. Okay, it sounds like Rebecca just broke something over there. Okay.
Every little thing you want, every little thing you need. Keep it all for yourself, my love, cause it really don't matter to me. I fell for you, I took the fall, I gave my heart every single time.
Right. Oh, Nat A says Storm. Church lady says nobody picked Black Panther. I know, right?
I'm just some simple guy.
Bubba is the he is the Green Lantern. I would probably be the Watcher.
You finally let someone in and give you some help. It's funny how you finally feel like yourself. When you finally let someone in and give you some help.
Can't die. Deadpool is. Kevzy, you're right. If you're gonna do T'Challa, you do Wakanda also. That's right.
You think I'm just some simple guy. I know.
All right, y'all. My filibustering is over. Shout out to everybody in their superhero personas. Shout out Kareem Ransom, who said she'll be Miss Marvel, which is very dope. Miss Marvel or Captain Marvel, Kareem? That's the question. Y'all, welcome back to the screen, Rebecca. Welcome, Rebecca. And Ben. Good morning.
Hey. Rebecca
good morning.
In the house. How you doing, sis?
Hey, I'm doing all right. I'm surprised that Bubba's here. I'm just kidding. No, be surprised that
was
I'm
yesterday,
here,
sis.
I know. And I said that to say that I missed you. And I wasn't supposed to be here this morning, but of course.
Thank you for being here, though.
Yes, right. Thank you for being here. Like this is not my job. But
yes, thank you. Yes, lean in. Bring your mic a little closer, and thank you for showing up to work. Here we go.
Right. No, my mic is close. Isn't that close enough, Dwayne?
Oh, it sounds much better now when you're leaning into it. Okay. Thank you for coming in, Rebecca, on your day off. No less.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. But just wanted to let you guys know that I really missed you for that 30 minutes that I wasn't here because I got to get these edges together. But on today's episode, we have a guest that I think that we would have a great conversation with, being that he is local and he is running here in Georgia for the Secretary of State, and his name is Dr. Eaves, Dr. John Eaves. I met him about a month ago, and I would love you guys to speak with him, but let him introduce himself. Hi, Dr. Eaves. How are you?
Good morning, Rebecca, Ben, and Bubba. Thank you so much for this great opportunity to talk with you as well as your listening audience. As you indicated, I met you about a month ago, and you truly are a dynamic person, and I'm just so excited. So I'm running for Secretary of State of Georgia, as you pointed out, and I got a long, extensive political experience. I'm a former chairman of Fulton County government, and I'm currently teaching political science at Spelman College in Atlanta. So I'm excited about sharing my perspectives with you this morning.
All right.
Yep.
Okay.
He's a,
Nice.
just wanted to point out that he also is a graduate, right, of Morehouse. So you are an HBCU brother. You know, we're an HBCU group right here.
Right.
Well, Dr. Eaves, thank you again for joining us this morning. I'd love to hear that you are a professor of political science, my favorite subject. Shout out to everyone, all of your students over at Spelman. And thank you for joining us. I really want to talk to you about political science, but Rebecca wants to talk about your campaign.
Immigration. So what we can do, I know we don't have you for a long time, but we're going to have you for a good time, right? And so I like to say that. So I want to start off with the immigration conversation because that's how we met. It was through an immigration conversation, and that happened here locally, a town hall meeting. And I love that there were so many different people who were there as representation, but it's specifically the way that and even there were the groups and the gaps, and me being a millennial. And I don't want to say that you're what do they call him? Because Ben, he seems like y'all on the same age. I don't want to step on those toes. But the fact that you were able to listen to me and I was able to listen to you, and we were able to agree to disagree and still come to a place. I'm like, yo, this man is, this is what we need here. People who can listen and who can understand, and then teach at the same time, educate at the same time. And I feel like that's what you did. And we, here the conversation was at the town hall meeting was, how can our leaders, the people who are campaigning as yourself, how can they put immigration into the lineup when they're campaigning? Because that's usually either at the bottom of the list or something that is not mentioned at all. So for you who's running, where would immigration be on the list for you?
It's high, and it's high on the list because I'm a descendant of a Jamaican immigrant. My grandfather immigrated to the United States from Jamaica in the 1900s, and I wouldn't be here today if it were not for my grandfather. And so the immigrant community, whether it's first generation, second generation, third generation, a vibrant part of Georgia, vibrant part of the United States. We are a nation of immigrants. And so immigration is important, not only in terms of the workforce, an expanding economy needs people to work, but we also, I consider immigrants important because they are also people who create jobs, small business owners who employ themselves as well as others. So it's an important part of our economy. We certainly have a love-hate relationship in terms of some of the national and statewide politics. We love folks that come and work our farms and clean our houses and mow our lawns. But when it comes to people coming to the southern border, people like Brian Kemp go out there and make a big issue out of it. But the reality is the immigrants are a major force in our economy, both locally and across the country.
Yes. And so I know that across the country, nationally, national news, we've seen what's been happening at the border, or what's happened at the border with most recently our Haitian brothers and sisters, majority Haitian brothers and sisters, asylum seekers, and how that was recently treated. And here in Georgia, we have many Black immigrants, I like to say, in certain parts of the area, but the majority of Black immigrants are Africans here. And then we have a community in Cobb County, which is a lot of Haitian immigrants. So our Black and brown immigrants, I want to ask you this question. I know that we touched on it at the town hall meeting, but would you say that Black and brown immigrants are treated differently when it comes to immigration standards than immigrants, I'll say other immigrants?
Without question. Without question. I mean, so in the span of maybe a week, you had the incredible emotional outcry of Afghanis who wanted to leave their country. Some of them work hand in hand with the American government and the military in terms of intelligence, in terms of being, people who translate it. And so this tremendous outpouring of interest and support and a desire for them to be relocated to different parts of the world, and specifically the United States. And within that same week, you had Black and brown people coming in from the southern border. And there was not only a blind eye initially, but also a negative reaction. And it wasn't until the Congressional Black Caucus made a big stink about it that the Biden administration and the Immigration Service started treating those folks with respect. And so there's tremendous disparity, contradictory aspects of Black and brown people, whether you're from the Caribbean, whether you're from Central America, whether you're from from West Africa, compared to Europeans to immigrate, and also to a certain degree Asians to immigrate to this country.
Yeah. And so there are a lot of people who are campaigning, and Ben, I'll let you get right in there after this one, but there are a lot of people who are campaigning who are afraid to have the audacity to point out that particular thing, that, when it comes to immigration, that it's one, not an American issue, and two, that there is a disparity when it comes to Black and brown and other. And so, and to have someone who's campaigning and who's able to call that out, I think that will help immigrants. Let's start locally, because we're here in Georgia. We're part of this community. That'll help them feel more comfortable to know that somebody is listening and somebody hears us. So Dr. Eaves, with you running, I want them to know your history, because I know you said that you're running and you're also a professor, but what's your history when it comes to running politically in Georgia, or having a seat politically in Georgia?
Yeah, so first of all, I come from a political family. My uncle, Reginald Eaves, was the first Black police chief of Atlanta. He was over the police department as well as the fire department back in the 1970s. And he formed what's called the Georgia Association of Black Elected Officials, as well as NOBLE, which is a law enforcement agency or a program for Black police officers. So I come from a family of servant leaders. But I went out on my own with his support, Reginald Eaves, and I became elected as chairman of Fulton County in 2006. Only the second Black person to hold that position and the history of Fulton County, and I served very admirably. And then after that, I ran for mayor of Atlanta. I came up short, but now I'm running for a Secretary of State, and with my success, again, will be a trendsetter. I'll be the first Black person ever elected to this position in Georgia and probably the entire Southeast. And I want your listeners to know that right now in the United States, among our 50 states, there are only 3 Black people who serve in this position. And 2 of them were appointed. There's California, Pennsylvania. Those 2 secretaries of states are women who were appointed. And the sole person who was elected to this position is Jesse White, who is in Illinois. And so it is a position that is incredibly powerful in terms of its reach and the type of work that it does. But very few Black people have ever been elected to this position historically, and it's never happened in the state of Georgia.
Wow.
Let's talk about that power, because we saw that power being wielded by Brian Kemp in determining the different locations that would be shut down leading up to the 2018 gubernatorial race. I think we saw just enough people, particularly Black people, be purged from the polls for him to win. We saw the same kind of power wielded in the Secretary of State position in Florida in the 2000 election, subsequently helping give George W. Bush the election. Could you help the people who are listening, our listeners, to understand the role of the Secretary of State and why it's so important to win?
Absolutely, Ben. Listen, I have to educate a lot of people about the position. So number one, it is sort of the chief election supervisor for the entire state. And so you have the responsibility of overseeing the elections of all the local elections, all the votes that are counted on the local level. So counties actually are the ones who administer the local elections, or even the statewide elections. They're counted locally, but the Secretary of State is the one that oversees the entire process. And then he or she, along with the board, the State Board of Elections, they actually what we call certify the elections, meaning that all the T's and I's were crossed, the I's dotted, all the things were done right. If there's an audit that's necessary, they do that. So you basically authenticate I'm saying a bunch of big words, but authenticate the actual election of a given state. And then next to that, you oversee the voting registration process. So in Georgia, you have over 8 million people who are registered to vote. And you have the power not only to manage the voting rolls, But unfortunately, you have the power to purge people from the voting rolls who are considered inactive, who are felons, who move out of the jurisdiction. And Georgia is very, very successful in terms of registering people to vote. But at the same time, we are one of the most aggressive states in the country to purge people off of the voting rolls. So as Secretary of State, I'm going to make sure that everybody, Ben, everybody, Rebecca, Black, white, Democrat, Republican, a second generation immigrant, a person who works on the farm, a high school dropout, in the city, in the rural community, everybody should have the right to vote. I'm going to vigorously defend the right of Americans to vote, Georgians to vote, because like John Lewis believed, I believe that voting is a sacred right of everybody.
Yes. Yeah. And we know how they're trying to take it away for us here locally all the time. You know, we have our friends over there who are
Rebecca said, I only get one question today, Dr.
I
was ready because I was getting ready to talk about some political science.
Like you're right. I said, if you don't back up, listen, because we fighting
if
for
you let me
voting
go,
rights.
I'm going to be talking about divergence law in a second. But go ahead, Rebecca. You got it.
We can hold that, but we're definitely fighting locally. Not like, and you know, we have so many different issues, but right here locally, we see what's happening right before our eyes. We've been fighting this for a minute, and daily we know people who, you know, our friends like Cliff Albright, who you know, comes on the show and he talks about the fight all the time with the filibuster and all these voting rights being taken away from specifically Black people in so many different ways by the Republicans, by the far right. From people of color. It's people of color being targeted right here locally. And the fight has not, we haven't even scraped the surface at all.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Listen, let me tell you something. It's a numbers game. Ben, it's a numbers game. So I tell people often that the fight in Georgia is about the browning of Georgia. Georgia now is 49% non-white, according to the U.S. Census Bureau, 32% Black. We are one of the most diverse states in the entire country. Who would have thought that in the American South that Georgia would be one of the most diverse? And that has translated to Georgia being so unique. We have more Black elected officials than any state in the country, more Black members of Congress, more Black mayors. We have about 70 Black mayors in Georgia, more Black chairs of county government, commissioners, city council people, district attorneys, and sheriffs. This is really unique. And so the browning of Georgia is occurring, and these laws are designed to knock down the percentage of voters just enough.
That's right.
Because all you have to do is have 50% plus one vote to win. Just bring it down just enough. That's all this is about.
Unless you're in the Senate and then you need 60 to get that filibuster.
That's true.
I digress. Let me get this next question in before Rebecca reined me in. In your position as Secretary of State, help the audience to understand what you would do specifically to push back against the big lie. Because in this position, I believe, was it Roethlisberger?
Yeah, Roethlisberger.
This is who Donald Trump pressured. Like the Secretary of State of Georgia is directly who Donald Trump called to pressure to change the results of the election. What are you going to do in that position to hold off and fight back against the big lie?
Integrity is important, Ben. You just got to be fair and honest, and you got to keep being consistent. You have to be transparent as well. Make the meetings open and transparent, open to the public. Make the voting process open to the public. You just have to be consistent. And as I said earlier, I want Black and white, Democrat and Republican, old and young, everybody who's eligible to vote. I want everybody to vote. Let the chips fall where they may. My problem with Raffensperger is he did do one good deed in terms of resisting pressure from President Trump. But since then, he's done a lot of bad things. He's been speaking out of term. He's been criticizing Fulton County, calling for the head of the registration department to be fired, saying that Fulton County Board of Elections should be taken over by the state. And that's completely out of the realm of what he should be doing. He should be talking about how he can get more people registered to vote and more people to vote and making it accessible as opposed to really playing to his Republican base. I won't do that as Secretary of State.
Okay.
All right.
And so, look, Ben, can I talk?
Yeah, no, it's audio. It's your show.
No, and before, I know that you're on a time crunch. So just one last thing, and I know you mentioned how it's, I think, 32% black or brown here in black and brown here. Black. Okay. Black. But it's 32% black here in Georgia. And so I wanted to point out, although it may be 32% black, when we have those spaces and seats filled, it's about having people, of color or who are black, having those places filled with the being authentic and knowing that they have these positions not to walk in the systemic ways, but to walk in the ways that are actually for the people. And I think that's where we're missing the mark here. We have a lot of people who are campaigning who are black, and we're stuck on the fact that, hey, this person is black. But then when they get that seat, we realize they are no longer for the people. And that's why I say there are so many issues that, that we have. And a lot of the people who look just like us may get this seat, may be at the top of that table, Rebecca, and may not be able, and not may not be, but won't bring those issues to the forefront. It's the audacity. It's the, standing up against the systemic ways, and, standing up and saying, hey, we're going to bring these to the forefront because these affect our communities the most.
That's right.
So,
exactly. I'm curious, before you go, I am so curious about what you two actually had a disagreement about. Like you said, you at the beginning, you said you agreed to disagree, but I hate to, I'm not trying to be
being messy. You being messy on the People's Thursday show. You being messy. It wasn't a disagreement. I will say that, we just, it's a listening thing, having a conversation. And sometimes I had to sit and listen. And then sometimes the way that I may express myself too, I'll have to explain like, hey, this is not what I mean. This is what I mean by this. And like the statement I just made, I know that he was saying something positive. He was saying, hey, we got to be in these spaces. And I agree about that 100%. We have to be in these spaces. But it's about, and I just wanted to clarify with him in that moment that even when we're in these spaces, it's more about just being the black person in these spaces. It's really having a heart for the people that you say you're going to serve, for the constituents. Because we've seen time and time again, people get in these seats and it's like, boom, I'm just, I'm the first to be this. But then there's nothing else that shows what you did for people that look like you in your community.
Well, let me jump in. I think that there's so many bad things that are happening in our state and across the country that have been so normalized that we just accept it. And I do believe that in 2021, 2022, it's about inclusion. It's about, yes, we have wonderful diversion, but what good is wonderful diversity? But what good is the diversity if there's no inclusion? If Black people are not at the economic table with others?
Come on.
It's no good. And so we need to be at the table. And this position can not only raise the concern, raise the alarm, but can actually do something. And so, Ben and Rebecca, I certainly want your listening audience to get behind me in my campaign. My website is John Eaves, EAVES 4 Georgia.com. And we're going to generate a movement to have really impact on the state. And the last thing I want to say is what I'm doing is historic, being the first Black person elected. But friends, when I get in office, that's going to be the historic thing. I think we can do some great things in terms of addressing inequities, disparities in our state. The time is now for Black folks to be shoulder to shoulder with everybody else in terms of economic opportunities.
I dig it. And you know what? I love Rebecca. Thank you for bringing, Dr. Eaves. Thank you for coming on and giving us this time. Rebecca, thank you for going to that forum and bringing them here to the show. What I absolutely love is that Rebecca Azor is one of those people who's going to be out in them streets holding everybody accountable, because she can't even come on this show without holding me accountable, Dr. Eaves. So we're going to be involved in watching you and supporting you, and also, making sure that we can help keep your feet to the fire, because you need that kind of support from the outside as well.
Exactly. And I welcome it. Thank you so much, Rebecca. I'm glad we met. Thank you for this forum to speak to you and Ben. So I look forward to maybe even other opportunities.
Oh yeah. And next time that we get an opportunity to meet, I'll definitely bring my colleagues with me. Because like I said, Ben is just being polite right now. We'll have a great conversation where we can.
You would let me. She's trying to make sure I don't get off into some. But listen, I would love to talk to you at some point about your political science class, so we could just like chop up on some of those nuances. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you, Dr. Eaves.
Okay, all right, take it easy.
Take care, everybody. James, Rebecca, where are we going next? It's about time for that after party, right?
It's time for the after party. So we're going to take a quick break and then we're going to
party stay in public.
After party.
Yeah,
Excuse
after
me,
party
David?
stay in public.
And the after party is staying public. So it's free for y'all today. You got me for the whole day.
James, it's in your hands. When we come back, it's the after party. Thank you again, Dr. Eaves.
Thank you, Dr. Eaves.
So y'all stay tuned. The after party. Get your right now. I had froze today.
Yeah.
See, this dang on infrastructure in Atlanta. This is what happens. Now I gotta start the song over again because it just messed up with everything. Y'all stay tuned. The after party is coming up next, man, which is staying public today. In the meantime, y'all go ahead and get your groove on. Take y'all to the islands for a minute. Welcome if you're down on it.
Yeah, sometimes rain and sometimes shine. All the sorrow and trouble you gotta leave behind. Right on. What time is a great tribulation? Nation them a fight against nation. What time is a great tribulation? Chiwata bam bam in a big beer. Away from the DJ car ranking, baby. When we fling it on the roads and reality, I will say best thing in life I'm free. Come on, little and little, best thing in life I'm free. Right on.
Kareem, listen.
Watch out with that. No money, and they say best things in life are free. Bam bam diddle diddle, best things in life are free. And the bread up on the chicken sing it sweet and melody.
I'm feeling this one. Oh my gosh, that's right. Saying nothing.
Best things in life are free. And they say best things in life are free. It's what you get from me, baby.
Sleazy Bubba has entered the chat room. Y'all stay tuned after the party is starting up next, man. That was a jam right there. I love that one.
It's been so long I didn't see you on mine. You changed a lot, you look a different guy. I can't stop thinking about you since last night. Do you feel the same, feel the same, feel the same, feel the same? Imagine if we did it right. Yeah, I feel like we could be so tight. We can fix it, it's gonna be alright. Yeah, we were kids, baby, the time flew by. I mean, we didn't really had a fight. We were never really said goodbye. I can see your face, your face, your face, your face. We just need some peace of mind. I got a feeling we will be alright. I wanna leave with you by your side. Do you feel the same? Look in my eyes, into my heart. I know I'm everything you pray for, my love. Been waiting too long to find in the one. I would do everything you asked of my love. Look in my eyes, I know we need time. I know I'm everything you pray for, my love. I've been waiting too long to find in the one. I would do everything you asked of my love.
We get along. How do you feel? How do you feel? You hit my phone, you hit my phone.
I like this one, y'all.
I know the deal, but baby, I'm grown. Is this just a fling for you? Is this something real? Trying to decide to lock you down or stop the wheel. I ain't trying to drive too fast, no. Lose control and we might I don't give much time to these women out here. Never thought I'd find one with anything of interest. Make me a believer while I'm switching my gear. I ain't got no time for these women on my stick shift. Y'all can miss this, no attention, yeah. I got goals, baby, oh, and not to mention all you hoes are fishing, but I am not committed, oh no, oh no, oh no. But still I say, we get along. How do you feel?
I like this too. Shut up, Tiger. I appreciate you.
You hit my phone, I know the deal, but baby, I'm grown. Is this just a fling for you? Is this something real? Trying to decide to lock you down or stop the wheel. I ain't trying to drive too fast, no. Lose control and we might crash. We might crash, we might last, we might not. I don't wanna risk it, baby. Can we just stop, yeah? Put it in park, yeah. We can stay after dark, yeah. Thinking you should be up front when we done, we can get it to start, yeah. But you wanna beat around the bush all day. I don't really give a damn what they all tryna say. I need you committed before you come my way. Then I'll be ready to get it, but till then it's just that.
Like it or not.
Yeah. Wait a minute. This like the early version, man.
Like
welcome back to the screen, Rebecca. I just wanted to be saying here real quick. Get it, Rebecca. Get it. Like it's every day.
Gotta have Rebecca come on her day off more often.
We got no sense. It's the after party. This is the after party. I need you to come with no expectations.
My thighs is wiggling in the chair.
Don't come. Listen. The after party is still live. We're still public, but if you're here, come with no expectations of any professionalism. We're just here hanging out at this point.
Yeah, and so that is our disclaimer. So don't be coming on here telling us, "Oh my God, this is not what I expected." That's fine because this is for the after party people. We're just giving you guys a little taste of what happens in the after party, where we're free to let our edges, our hair down. The beards are free, okay, to beard,
free flowing.
Okay. And y'all know I got a few little pieces up here. They are free to be who they are.
And they're liberated. The ends are liberated.
They are free to be who they are. Okay.
They are
like
free
it or not.
Like it or not. Meanwhile, where is Dr. Mac?
Dr. Mac is doing his thing. You know, Dr. Mac, you know.
Ben don't have the answers. Ben, you ain't got the answers. Like,
it's okay.
Dr. Mac came on 2 days and was like, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. I ain't coming back.
Brother Mac is busy being the dad, but he will be back as soon as he can. That's all I know. That's all I got.
Anywho, before you want to do Condoleezza?
I didn't realize we had the clip. If we had the clip, I would have done it earlier. Sometimes sometimes it's just good to just, not say anything. That's the best strategy sometimes. If you know what you're going to say is going to be, but Condoleezza Rice was on The View yesterday. And she took her appearance on The View as an opportunity.
I think it was the day before yesterday.
Or the day before.
God.
Thank you. To cry tears on behalf of the poor white children who would be exposed to critical race theory. Let's take a listen to that clip.
January 6th was wrong. I called it an assault on law and order and an assault on our democratic processes. So full stop, it was wrong. Law enforcement will determine what happened there, and those who violated the law ought to be punished. I also, on January 6th, for the first time since I was the National Security Advisor on September 11th, I cried that day, right? Because I thought, I study countries that do this. Yes. I didn't think it would happen in my own country. So it was a terrible moment. I will say that night, when they filed back into the Capitol after it was secured, and they certified that election, I had new faith in our institutions and the people who were protecting them. So we came through that as a country that ultimately upheld the law. Now, I think what Senator McConnell may be referencing is, yes, it's time to move on in a lot of ways. Yeah. The American people are now concerned about their what we call kitchen table issues, the price of gasoline, inflation, what's happening to their kids in school. And so we do have a lot of issues. Move ahead and deal with the American people's issues.
I think it's really politically expedient for Mitch McConnell to say, let's move on, especially when the former twice impeached disgraced president enjoys attacking Mitch McConnell. But the problem is that past will become prologue if we don't find out exactly what happened January 6th.
And we will.
So it's not time right now.
We will find out.
We must find out before moving on.
We will find out. But I'm going to tell you, I live in California, not Washington, D.C. And the American people do have other concerns that we ought to be thinking about and talking about.
Respectfully,
and
Madam Secretary, I think
let me finish now, Sonny, because as I said, I thought this would happen in countries I studied, not countries that I lived in. Our institutions have to be upheld. What happened on January 6th was wrong. What I want to see in my party, I want to see the next generation of leadership step up. I want those of us who have been there, done that, to step back. And I want to move on to a better America.
I didn't have the portion that I was talking about, but man.
But that is still, she said, I want us to move. Basically, she said, I want us to move on. I want us to forget about January 6th. I was sad about it.
Basically.
I didn't even know that something like that could happen in this country, as my perm doesn't sway because it's stiff with pink lotion. But I just wanted to say that as a Black woman, I have other concerns like cashing my checks and sitting on a yacht, on a farm that was once owned by the people that formerly enslaved me. You guys can't do that. Catch up, bitches. But I will not concern myself with things of the past. We must move onward and forward. And Sonny was like, sis, we are not, how can we? We're not moving anywhere. Feet are planted, sweetie. We have to deal with what's right now so that we can move forward.
Girl, you a damn fool.
Rebecca, what is wrong with you? How did she do it, right? Her perm couldn't even flow in the wind, bro.
He was giving me like just grease down flips. So it's like she just had that piece, that grease down Sunday Saints right in the front with the flip. Listen, hair
she was giving very much superhero vibes with this purple like zip up vest thing on. I'm like, oh, okay, you about to go fight some. It ain't crime, girl. I don't know what you're going to fight.
She ain't fighting crime because she is not trying to catch now one of them people up from January 6th.
Not now one of them. It ain't crime. She fighting on. She fighting them edges. I don't know.
She's not. So, but what we see here is literally what a lot of people who have no concern because it didn't touch their home. It didn't touch around their area. It doesn't concern them. This literally is none of Condoleezza Rice's concerns because she's good. And she's probably friends with a lot of people who have intel on what happened that day. So this is none of her concern. We need to focus on other things like keeping the poor poor. Okay, I don't live in Washington, D.C. I live in California. We need to keep the poor poor.
In California.
And we don't, those other people, they will literally, this is how she's speaking. What happened on January 6th is beneath me. Although there were predominantly white people with guns, predominantly racist, white supremacists marching in the name of Donald Trump on a lie that he won the election, right? Terrorist, domestic terrorist. But that's not what's important. What's important is I got to make it to the hair salon with a lady who doesn't know how to do the texture of my hair.
All right, y'all. We thank y'all so much for tuning in.
It's been
Rebecca's
a good run.
leaving us right now. Because she is on shit today. God damn.
It's been a fun show. It's been a good experiment. But now we're gonna have CIA operatives sneaking up at our doors 3 o'clock in the morning and say, "What you say about Condoleezza?"
She need to find a new hairdresser before she starts talking. She need to find a new hairdresser before she starts talking anything about issues in America that affects people that look just like you. Sis, like the way that Sunny was like, "Oh no, we will not go there." Like
Sonny was trying to help her out.
Sonny was very sweet to her. She was like, "But you probably mean that we're not going to move. We can't move forward, Condoleezza."
No. Hold on, Sonny. Hold on, Sonny.
Right. And she was like, "Now, Lily, I know you on my show, sis, but you coming over here like it's your show."
You got to do it in the mayor's
Get
voice.
it together.
That mayor's voice that you did, that mayor from that city here in Georgia, where she's like, "Hold on now."
The one that was at that same town hall meeting that Dr. Eaves was at.
That's how she sounded.
That told us to go come sit at that table that us literally that same table. Yes, those are those people that literally get in positions of power, and they are Black people, and there are certain issues that do not concern them before and after their campaign, or before and after they've served in that seat. These issues. You're telling me that January 6th is something that we should move forward from when we are still living in times that resemble slavery. You telling us to move on from just yesterday, sis? You sound like them white folks that be like, "Come on, slavery was like, what was it, 400 years ago? Let it go." Yeah, we are living still similar times. We're different here.
Not to her.
Same
she
thing.
lives in California because she's.
Oh yeah, because she lives in California.
I'm good.
She lives in the hills, baby. She lives in the hills.
The hills.
Okay? So
Beverly.
there are no issues this is none of her concern. Listen, those people who were a part of what happened on January 6th, I don't want to say that I know them, but I know them. And I will not speak on their behalf, because you got to keep your enemies close.
I know y'all have seen the Instagram or the TikTok of the husband and wife, and it's a black chick, and she has a fur coat on every time she does the clips, and she was like, Albert, bring me my wine.
Yes, I've seen it.
Give me my wine, please.
Yes.
Condoleezza is talking to her husband just like that, okay? And she's talking to us, the people who are telling her January 6th happened, and we will not forget about it, because there are people still out there who are who are doctors, are lawyers, are police officers who are part of what January 6th was, and they have not been reprimanded for their actions. They're flying on planes. They're going across the country. They are still out here harassing people. They are still the leaders of these Facebook groups. Amen. These are the people that Condoleezza Rice is telling us to forget about.
Don't worry about them. We ain't got to worry about them. There's a ship. If I'm not mistaken, I want to look it up. They were getting ready to name a ship. Chevron was getting ready to name a ship, one of their oil tankers, after Condoleezza Rice. That's how good she is.
Good, rich, and black. Black, oil is good, rich, and black. And the white folks can utilize it and sell it and go to people's lands, steal it up, utilize it, and just make so much money off of it, and then go and when they don't want it no more, they go and pour it out in these different communities, right? And make their waters toxic with that same oil.
Yeah. All right. So we got a couple more clips here for the after party. Let's go to after party 1. It's a clip of a guy. We played him a couple times on the show. He said, "Why would you think this is okay? It's a teacher's racist way of acting out indigenous practices." Let's take a look at the clip.
Okay. John W. North High School, Riverside, California. A student is in class. The student happens to be indigenous and becomes concerned when they say their teacher pull out what looks like a headdress made with fake feathers. And only after several minutes of, quote, war whooping and tomahawk chopping did they take out their phone and start recording, because he said he felt that the violence was specifically targeted at him.
I don't know. Tomahawks? Is that right? With feathers? Okay.
If she had put chains on her wrists and made jokes about picking cotton, you think she'd still be employed? If she had done some sort of strange, like, Asian stereotypes, think she'd still be employed? Or even, do you think she'd even consider doing that? Or do you think even she would be like, that's too much? But she had no problem doing that. She thought that was fine. She thought that was entertaining. And I'm assuming she thought it was educational in some way. John W. North High School, Jody Gonzalez is the principal, if you'd like to tell them what you think about this.
She did. Where's Bubba?
Yeah.
Dwayne forgot to bring him back on. You know, he's a busy man back there.
Okay, so I'll say this. So I saw that, I seen that when I watched this originally, the way the context was going, and this is in no way, shape, or form. That lady, homegirl, was wrong, okay, with a big old W. Okay, she was wrong. However, some people were saying, oh, this is, what was the word that was used? This is super violent, da-da-da-da. That lady has been doing this for since 2012, I believe, in this school.
What? Oh, wow.
To teach a certain mathematics that was
I heard her saying SOHCAHTOA. That's
like something true to indigenous people and things like that. Something that's historical in that way. So she's been doing this for years. So I'm telling you guys, because it was normalized for her in this particular school, she thought this was okay. Nobody has ever told her, because we live in this racist behind America, and we know in our education system that a lot of things that we were taught and a lot of things that we celebrated within our school systems has been okay. Now, I wouldn't say this was violent, but to be called out on it, yes. To be checked on it, yes. I think this is the way to go. There was somebody who posted it, and the way that they posted it was without any context, and also just saying, "Oh, she was being violent. She was being violent." Now she's being very disrespectful, like nobody's business. Yeah. Of course, is it ignorant? Like nobody's business. And it's a teachable moment. Hell yeah. Pull that lady to the side. Let her know you have disrespected my culture, or, hey, this has to stop. Now we are so long. We're educated on how that lady was dancing, looking like it was a fool. But now we're educated. We're educating you on this matter. This ain't right. Like what you're doing is disrespectful. But I'm telling you 100%, that lady, that racist, that white supremacist, that disrespect has been embedded in her, and okay. She really thought this was okay. I don't think she did this in mind.
I mean, look, she's been doing it since 2012. Of course she think it's fine.
Then y'all know that means that the principal and anybody else that's above her were already cool with this. 2012, I'm sure somebody has said something. So the way they juxtapose it is, oh no, I'm just teaching math. I'm teaching this certain kind of math, and this is how we have to do it. And it just helps the students learn. Oh, okay. That was racist as hell.
SOHCAHTOA is memorable enough. I don't need you to add it on top of some like racist, stereotypical tropes. There's just no reason
now don't get it wrong. When I say I don't think it was violent, I honestly I think it was very disrespectful, and I still put that in the.
I think it's a specific definition of violence that some people are using. But I mean, I hear what you're saying, but I also know like that there's a very specific definition of violence that is.
So yeah, because when I read this, I thought that this lady literally was being violent and going up to the student and raging against them and things like that. And I'm like, nah, but this is great that the student had posted this because this is disrespectful and she needs to know that it is disrespectful. Being fired.
That's wild.
Literally people have to know you can't do this. But the ignorance, right? The ignorance that a lot of these people have because the education system allows this and they think this is okay. It's not fun.
Almost 10 years.
These indigenous people are a true group of people. They're not people that we need to use on Thanksgiving and take the feathers and disrespect their culture. I would absolutely hate for people to disrespect my culture. We don't like when white folks is wearing braids to the back. We don't like that, right? We don't like that. It's disrespect, right? And so we check that.
Man.
So, but anywho, this is something that I hope does.
That's I just James, you hit it, man. How many people knew that this was going on in the classroom for 10 years? We're talking about 10 years of her doing this. So it's not just her, like it's the entire school. It's the entire school that would see this, know this. And I mean, we're in a different day. I don't care how okay this may have been 20, 30 years ago. This is not what we're doing in this year. So
anyway. Yeah, because I'm just like, why are you teaching it that way? If it's something to teach it. Just you ain't gotta act like you are indigenous or act like anything. Just teach the damn shit. Teach my kids.
But she been teaching this since 2012. Okay,
2012. She been gyrating across a classroom like a disrespectful
with feathers because they believe that's what it is. Not even beautiful, whatever. They literally just be putting, how they used to have us doing that. And I really, and mind you, I love Pocahontas and I've, had my Pocahontas outfits that my mama used to buy me, back then. And I love Pocahontas, but to ever put on a headdress, even if I say,
God, we're coming to Halloween, please, for love of God,
listen,
don't do that. Please.
And we don't know the disrespect. We're thinking that we're just dressing up as these, these characters and things like that. And trust me, my mom would put me in the little outfits and things like that because I loved Pocahontas so much, right? My mom wasn't trying to be violent. She wasn't. This is what she thought. This is what she knew. This is what she thought was okay. And until we realized at some point, this ain't okay. This is somebody's culture. Ooh. And dressing like this is disrespectful to somebody's culture, especially if we're not even doing it with the knowledge of what the history is of Pocahontas or, what I'm saying? Like, I had to learn that. I had to get that together. Because for Halloween,
to be fair to you and everybody, we all had to learn. One of the very best places I learned it was from James Baldwin, and he was debating in Cambridge years ago, and he was talking about how growing up he used to watch the Cowboys and the Indians on television, and it wasn't until he got a little bit older that he realized while he was rooting for the Cowboys, America treated him like the quote unquote Indians, right? And so that kind of, when I heard that, I'm like, wait a minute. This country has had us have this disposition towards Native Americans all of this time, indigenous people all this time, when in reality, our solidarity has been with them. But that's not something that you definitely ain't gonna get that in school. You don't get this clown running around like a turkey without a neck talking about SOHCAHTOA.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell?
Listen, and just to clarify, and this is for B, let's be clear, my love, my beloved, nobody's telling a marginalized group how to feel. This is from me. And I'm looking at this this is what I'm saying from looking at this particular thing. There are a lot of groups of people, and we're talking about somebody who has been doing this since 2012. This school has allowed her to do this in 2012. This is an educating moment. This is a teachable moment. Fire her ass or whatever the case may be, but this woman has been told this is okay to do for so long. For the person that was hurt, I'm not telling that person how to feel. That was pain. And that person didn't say it was violence. Somebody who posted that video for that person said it was violence.
Said it was violent.
And we have to be careful when we have to be careful when we use those type of words, because what I thought was that this person stepped into this person's face. And this is disrespect. This is a lot of things, right? And I'm not, when I say it's not violence, when I think of violence, I think of physical, actual fighting and coming up to this person, ripping off something that belongs to them, like we've seen. But disrespect comes in different forms. And right now, this disrespect came in the form of this person being ignorant and being allowed to do these things. And part of that school, the school should be held accountable. The teacher should be held accountable. And I love that this is becoming a conversation because, you know, it's racist, right? It's racist. And this racism probably has been embedded in this lady's community and that particular community for long, long periods of time. I meet white people all the time who don't know nothing. And I can tell that they're not trying to be violent with me, and there are teachable moments. And after I told you what's up, and if you do not take that into consideration, that's on you. Now, from then on, I might be violent with you.
See, you're a very straightforward person in your language, right? You're very straightforward. When you say violence, you mean I'm taking off my earrings and getting some Vaseline and we're going to get violent, right?
On the elbows.
On the elbow, in the ears, in the face.
And what we're talking about, a couple of comments in the comment section, what they're talking about is the usage of the word violence as it pertains to violent acts, you know, microaggressions, those type of things. There is a category of distinction in our current vernacular that says that this is an act of violence. But there's clearly two interpretations of the word violence. So, and I don't want us to spend a whole lot of time parsing the difference, but I see it with you as well. Like, listen, when I see a post that says something violent happened, I'm like, okay, who did what, how, where, right? And then when I see this, I'm like, oh, this is, you know, I see your perspective, but I do just want to enter into the conversation that there's just a general definition out there of violence that is inclusive of racial stuff like we just got, racist stuff like we just got through seeing. So anyway,
but this is a good conversation. Literally, I want people to know that because indigenous people are not included into that racial conversation and the conversation of the abuse of their culture. And I love that we can now, because you know Thanksgiving is coming, and we know at a whole bunch of people's house, it's going to be a lot of disrespect to indigenous people on that day. Yes, it starts on Halloween. I was a part of that. I was a part of that group until I sat my behind down, got schooled by somebody who was indigenous, and was put together. And as cute as I love them outfits, y'all, I love them. I do. But it's disrespectful. Listen, stay off of Amazon. No sexy Pocahontas. Nobody. No, first of all, stay off of Amazon anyway, but no sexy anything for Halloween. Just matter of fact, just look in the mirror. Everybody's going to be good. Just look in the mirror. We all got our costumes already. That's it. We got 2 minutes before I hit play the clip of the one that I had post yesterday. I think this is going to lighten everything up. It's so adorable. And I want you guys to see what this little girl grabs. And when she goes to the bodega and she grabs all this stuff, right? When he says, you know how that guy, just play the clip. Let's take a look.
Hi, I'll give you $20 and 5 seconds to grab whatever you want if you get this question right. Okay. What's 9 times 9 plus 100? 9 times 9 is what?
81. Plus 100. 181.
Correct. Grab whatever you want. 5. 4. Grab faster. 3.
Look at mama.
2. And 1.
Hey,
and let's talk about that. She didn't go grab candy and stuff. Just she grabbed produce and she grabbed groceries.
She said, "Listen, mama need groceries. Listen, we cooking today. I'm gonna make sure we got avocados, we got bananas, we got onions, we got rice. The household needs
and avocado, man.
And I got $20.
And I got $20.
I just thought for sure she was gonna go grab some Little Debbie snack cakes or something.
Oh no.
Me too.
She said, I'm going home with groceries, okay? Right. And her little face when she looked up, she was like, okay, I just thought she was the cutest thing. And when she said, somebody said she lives with abuela.
Abuela. And Amara said it best in the chat. That's an Afro-Caribbean household. Rice, more than 2 plantains, and ginger. Oh, yeah. About to cook it up.
Yes, they about to cook it up. She about to have tea. They about to have rice and beans. They about to have avocado and toast in the morning. Listen, they gonna have bananas on the side.
Fresh guacamole. They gonna be cooking. They be
Keep playing. Keep playing.
Hey, look, folks. So we don't have a patron party tomorrow night because we're having it next Friday night, which is the 29th, and apparently
It's a Halloween party.
Oh.
So no, listen. Don't come. Ain't no blackface. Don't come disrespecting indigenous folks. And
okay, let's get it.
And we not doing. And don't do white chicks. Now I said that with a little shaky finger, but don't do white chicks. We're not doing one of those. If you are not that color,
that's another conversation.
You are not that color. Leave
Why I can't go ahead and do white chicks? It's not the same. No, it's the same.
I think
okay,
Rebecca's
cool.
a mind reader. Rebecca's a mind reader. Kev Z said
Rebecca,
he's going to dress up as a pilgrim.
That's the big question. Is Rebecca coming?
Right. How you gonna impose all these rules and you ain't even gonna be there?
I said I was going to be there since like 2 weeks ago. Mind your business.
I'm just making sure.
Dwayne, are you coming? Look,
hey,
I'm gonna probably be a little busy. Oh, y'all gonna be in person? I definitely ain't gonna be down there with y'all. But I'm a little busy.
We didn't want you to come anyway.
So
right, screw you
then.
My
feeling.
But we're gonna be you guys are not. Y'all meeting somewhere to go do this? Because I'm gonna be in my house.
If I told you, my Jesus, my God, the 29th, we're doing a photo shoot and a video shoot.
Oh,
and we're gonna do the patron party there.
Y'all gonna meet me there? Ass out. I'm just kidding.
You need to be there. Come with your best wig on. Come with your best wig on, Rebecca.
Oh, it's gonna be nice.
Now I got to bring the whole costume with me. I forgot about it. I'm like, I got to dress up first, and I bring the costume right. So let me go get my costume this weekend.
Maybe, hey, actually, make sure you bring a change of clothes because we got to take some photos too. So I don't know if you want to be seen as Captain America throughout all of. I don't know, man. You want your main photo to be Captain America?
No, that's what I'm saying. The after, because the after party gonna be late.
The
regular clothes, yeah.
Now I wonder if
who said I was Captain America anyway.
We party until about 2:00 in the morning, so we might have to. We gonna figure out the actual.
I'm gonna be there with y'all until about 11:30, and I am packing it up.
I'm gonna be there with them to about 12.
Okay. So we're gonna have an early. We're gonna have an early patron party. Sound like so? Let's just do it 9 to 12, and we'll call it. Dress up, come to Patreon / like it or not to get access to all the after parties as well as the patron party. The costume party coming up on the 29th. You don't want to miss it. Be there.
Yeah. Maybe we should do 8 to 12 so we can, give the people a good time. Let's start it. Yeah, I like that start early.
8 o'clock.
Because we old.
So, yeah, because we old.
And we live far.
Yeah. Y'all better just make some pallets on Ben's floor. What y'all talking about?
It's not gonna be. It's not gonna be in my place. It's gonna be at the
right. Look,
Ben's floor, Bubba's floor. I will not do it. I will. I'm one of those people that will be like, let me sober up, get up at 2 a.m.
You too bougie for a pallet?
I don't do pallets. No.
What?
I do my best.
You don't do she does air mattresses, Dwayne. Get it together.
She's over there with Condoleezza Rice. I'm from California. I don't need it.
Right. I'm on my Condoleezza Rice.
Pallets. That blow themselves up. That blow themselves up.
Common stuff. You commoners.
The deluxe ones that elevate about 3 or 4 feet off the floor.
Rebecca out there in a king size air mattress.
Listen, I could do a king size air mattress for sure. They got good quality now. So.
I don't know, man. Them air mattresses be letting out air in the middle of the night. You wake up and
like nobody been, but that too.
Yo, when we first moved in our house, show we had an air mattress in the bedroom for like 2 weeks while we was waiting on the bed to be delivered. And one night, 3 o'clock in the morning, I wake up, I'm on the floor. All the air is on her side of the air mattress. I'm like, yo, what in the hell is going on? Like, this don't even make no sense.
There it is. So no air mattresses. We're going to have an early party. 8 o'clock to midnight is the patron party on the 29th. Patreon.com / like it or not. Rebecca, James, y'all got it.
It was a good show. My last words.
Yes, damn good.
I love you guys so much. Mean it. I had the giggles today. I hope that you guys were able to kiki with me. I know I wasn't here for a long time, but I was here for a good time. So I hope that you enjoyed it and enjoy your Thursday. I'm about to play me some old school jams and go have lunch with somebody's son. So have a good one.
We'll see y'all.
I hate y'all. I mean it, y'all. We thank y'all again. Y'all know what time it is. If you have not already, patreon.com/likeitnornot, patreon.com/the BPD show. Join either one today. Make sure that you join. You can have your ad in for the patron party next week. You don't want to miss it. Real quick, your affirmation for the day is affirmation for the day. All challenges are an opportunity for growth, and I am thankful for the chance to evolve. All challenges are an opportunity for growth, and I am thankful for the chance to evolve. Y'all go be Thursday, Throwback Thursday. Y'all have fun. Enjoy the Facebook. See you tomorrow.
Just making up to survive. Only living on the weekends. You really thinking that's why I'm alive? Busting out the scenes, time to live my dreams, do the things deep inside of me. This life it continues with fighting me, but I don't have quitting inside of me. I will not jump in these boxes they throwing me. Talking to God and there's so much he's showing me, shaping me, growing me, taking me sowing seeds. A growing tree, y'all get a load of me. Yeah, don't let them slow me. I get the bag like a grocery. I'm on my grind like I'm supposed to be, and I do not care if you notice me. Boxes, I cannot fit in the box.